Hey guys, welcome back to another pick a card. We know it's been like a month since we've done one. We've been pretty busy working on stuff behind the scenes, but we wanted to come back and do this. This is kind of a time sensitive one. It's timeless for you guys, but it's time sensitive because it is themed after a member of Monsta X. His name is June, but he goes by I.M. That's his stage name. It is actually themed, What is Your Duality? And the reason we chose that is because his album that came out last year was called Duality, and his birthday is actually January 26th, which is when we put this up. So we wanted to get this out this month. And then, of course, we plan on putting out a lot more the next couple months. So get excited. We're excited to read for you. But basically, I'm going to go into kind of who Chengyun is and a little bit about him. And then we'll get into the piles, which each one of these piles is an album cover of his. So this is a mixtape called Who Am I? This is his Horizon, Sunset and Sunrise, which is, there's a couple songs on that album. This is his actual 5-song album that he put out last year. And then Loop is a solo mixtape that he put out in September of last year. So those are going to be the piles. I'll hold them up in a little bit. And then we also are doing tarot. We have oracle cards. We have some astrology cards that we have a little section for. And then we'll do stickers. And then we have our handmade oracle decks. One of them has lyrics. And then the other one has quotes by Chengyun. We're calling it Q-nisms. So those are going to be quotes from him that kind of go along with the theme of the reading. But I will go ahead. I'll give you a little info about him. Hold up these cards and then we can get started. So Chengyun, his stage name is I Am. He's a soloist, idol radio show host, and he also is the maknae, or the youngest member of the group Monsta X, which is a K-pop group. His career started in, I believe it was like 2013. Don't quote me on this part because I'm not as up on his origins, but he was in a group called Duality. Originally, unfortunately, they didn't really work out, but in 2015, early 2015, late 2014, he was a part of a show called No Mercy, which was the show that put together the group Monsta X. He became one of the 7 members. They debuted on May 14th of 2015. Throughout his career with Monsta X, he has contributed as a rapper, a writer, a producer, and a composer. He writes all of his own raps, and then he contributes his own songs as well on their albums, along with a couple of the other members. He also works with them currently. So right now he is in the process of doing something called Midnight Idol, which is a radio show host. And he does that 5 nights a week, Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. Korean Standard Time, which I don't know where all of you are in the world. So we'll just give it to you in KST. But he does that along with Ki-hyun, which is one of the other members of Monsta X. And then, of course, Monsta X is still doing all of their normal productions and stuff. They have a tour coming up later this year that just got pushed back to May, but they're still planning on doing that this year as well. He hasn't put out any solo stuff since like September of last year, but we're hoping that he does. But he has put out a few mixtapes that include, but are not limited to, like I said, Who I Am, which was put out on May 5th of 2016, Horizon, which was on April 18th of 2019, and then Loop, which was put out on September 5th of 2021. He released his first album on February 29th, 2021. Sorry, February 19th of 2021. There you go. And it is entitled Duality. It has 5 tracks, all of which charted in the top 20 on the global Billboard 100. He currently has Midnight Idol, like I said, and then obviously we hope to see in the future that he does more solo work, but also he does write solo songs for Monsta X, like I said. So if you're interested in him, you can check him out in the current stuff that he does, but he also has a lot of content as well. Throughout his career, he's gained attention for his deep voice, attractive looks, specifically his nose, intelligence, and his humor. We chose to do the reading based around the theme of his album Duality and to post it on his birthday, which, like we said, is January 26th. We highly encourage you to listen to both his solo songs and his group music, Monsta X, and then check out their content for more Chingyun I.M information. So that was quite a mouthful. Hopefully you got it. If not, you can repeat that. But basically, we're really excited to do this reading, and we kind of hope to do a few more soloist readings as well. Obviously, they're not themed. One warning I should give is this reading is not themed around like him and his life and what's going on in his life. So if you're here for that, sorry, that's not what it is. This reading is all about your duality. So what is your duality and how can you work with that? What things are you currently going through, and maybe some advice from your guides? So if you're looking for like K-pop tarot in the sense of reading their lives, we don't do that on this channel, but we more than welcome you to stick around to find out some information about your life and your duality. But these are the piles, so I'll hold them up so that you can see them better. This is his Who I Am album mixtape. This is his Horizon mixtape, which has the songs Horizon and Scent on it. This is his studio album, which is called Duality. Pile 3. And then the last pile, it is his solo song Loop, and he actually made this artwork for his album, his mixtape, by himself. So this is actually artwork that he made, which is pretty cool. But pick your pile, and we will go ahead, we'll get started, and we'll see what is your duality. Bye. If you chose pile 1, then you chose his I Am's mixtape, which is the Who Am I, which he put this out back in 2016. So this came pretty quickly after his debut in 2015. If you didn't listen to the intro, this reading is themed after his, after I Am, Chinkyun, after his album, which was entitled Duality. So this is going to be all about your duality. What is your duality? How can you work with that energy? Information from your guides on what you're currently going through, what to expect, maybe some advice or some ways to work with that. We have tarot oracle, we have stickers, and then we actually have homemade oracle decks that have quotes from his own solo work, and then also quotes from him specifically that kind of go along with the reading as well. So we have lots of stuff for you, but basically we'll go ahead and we'll get started. I'll stick this up here by his Danny Dom. There. So what we're going to do is it's a little bit different than normally as far as the spread that we do, because we're going to see both sides of your duality. So we're going to start with your overall energy with an archetype card, and then we'll do some tarot cards to kind of show us what your duality is, to kind of give us an idea of what the two sides of you are. Now, duality usually is the pull between two parts of you, and a lot of his music actually talks about that, which is why we decided to do this. But it kind of pulls between what the two sides of you are. So, oh, that was way too many. That was like 4 cards, so I'm not gonna take it. Archetype cards are a little harder to shuffle, so bear with me. We're doing all live shuffle too, like we usually do. I know it's been a hot minute since we've uploaded a video, but you know, we've been finding a lot more fun with our confirmation this way, so. Pile 1. Okay. Okay, so pile 1 got the Mystic for overall. And then what I'm going to do is each side is going to be 1 part. So we're going to start with 1 tarot card for each side. And we're using the Mystic Mondays deck, which I'm super pumped about because I haven't used it in forever and it's like my favorite. So one side we have the King of Swords, and the other side we have the King of Pentacles. So I'll stick those like that. So actually, that tells me a lot already. But we'll go ahead and we'll get all your cards out before I start reading. And if Laina picks up on anything, of course, she can say something too. Okay. One side is the rat. One more card, please. The other side. These are actually the new Mystic Monday animal cards, which I didn't think were supposed to come out until like next month. But, you know, I got mine early and I'm not going to complain. The other side is the unicorn. And then just to show you, bottom of your deck is camel. This side you have leadership. And then on the King of Pentacles side, really thinking about this side. The other side is opportunity. Bottom of the deck is flexibility, which I could see that with the Mystic actually. So that might be your overall. We have some essential oil cards. These can give us a little bit more about maybe what parts of you are on each side. Now, when I'm going through these, if these don't sound like you at all and you're like, no way, that's not me, then it might be worth it to look at a different pile, because this is kind of going to be like a vibe check for you to see if it sounds right. Okay, so you have, they actually came out at the same time. So your first one is actually for the King of Pentacles side, and it's self-worth. And the trigger statement is I am disgusting, but the true statement is I am a miracle. It's a metabolic blend, and it says, please be gentle and love yourself. Provide your body mind with what is truly needed to carry on your journey. And that's going to go over here. And then the other one you got is conviction, and it says, no one listens to me is the trigger statement. The true statement is my voice is heard. Stand strong and communicate your message. The world is ready to receive what you have to share. And that's going to go over here. And then, let's see, you have archetype cards from Threads of Fate. I don't know if Laina has any channel messages yet.
I do. I have a lot of channel messages for this group already. So hold on one moment. Okay, so I'll share what I have so far. I've been writing down the cards as they come out also for each side so that I can keep track. But what I have for you guys so far, I started getting messages for you guys right away before we even started doing things. So we have before I just wrote down group 1 on the paper, and then just like a bunch of stuff started coming through. So very chatty guides, I'll definitely say that. So you have Pooh Bear, the Pokemon theme song, especially the part that's like, I want to be the very best that no one ever was. That's the part that I heard specifically. The color blue, Castle, and Orange Julius, which if you don't know what that is, I don't know really how to explain them. But it's kind of like a dreamsicle, like the orange and the cream. That's what Orange Julius is. They're delicious. I haven't had one in forever, but I don't know.
It's like an orange sherbet smoothie kind of situation.
Yeah, sinus infection. So obviously, of course, I'm going to say we're not doctors, but if any of you have been having issues with your nose, maybe this is a sign from your guides to get that checked out, because you could have a sinus infection. Maybe you're going through that right now, so it's confirmation for you that this is the right pile. I also saw a gray, like, fat cat. So like that, I don't know, maybe it's a guide for some of you guys or your pet. Drum solo and singing bowls, a train going, like I heard like a train going by. So like could be travel. Also to me, the train going by with like the loud horn makes me think of like an incoming message. So maybe looking out for that. Mercury is an important placement for you. So if you know your Mercury placement, definitely check it out. And if Mercury happens to also be your chart ruler, I think that's something really to be important to note. The letter G, a soccer goal, England, Kim Namjoon. Also heard Horizon by I.M, which I think that's the second pile. So if you already feel drawn to group 2, you might want to check it out. Hongjoon from ATEEZ. Also heard You Don't Know Me, in like, so like it's like, and your guides were getting it to a point of like something, it's more like you saying that. So like to other people, like, you don't know me. And then the last message that they gave for you so far is open your heart. You have to be willing to let in the good and let people see you.
Yes. So I think some of those go kind of along with this. So basically, the two parts of you, so your duality, you have the King of Swords and the King of Pentacles, just to start out. So overall, you have like a mystic energy, right? So mystic energy is very much like energy of somebody who is not, you don't necessarily have to be spiritual, but I think most of you that pick this group are in some way, shape, or form, whether that be through religion or through spirituality, faith in something. But basically with the mystic, it's someone who holds a lot of powers. They even have a couple eyes on there. So you might be someone who is, you're very imaginative and you're very able to tap into your third eye. So you're very able to like envision things that'll happen for you. Maybe you get psychic downloads. You might be someone who uses your third eye creatively. So you might do art, you might write, you might do something where you use your imagination in a way to help others, or you put it out into the world in some way, shape, or form. And usually it's based on like your faith or your passions or whatever you believe in. Now, as far as the two sides of you, you have one side who's very airy, like very like knowledge based, very communication based, and then you have one side who's very grounded, very like stability based. It's almost like you have a pull between being up in the clouds and the like air energy and being grounded here down on earth. So, which I thought was kind of funny, because you had the rat come out for the air and you had the unicorn come out for the grounded side of you. But I think there's a reason for that. Now, I left this power card out in the middle because it felt like overall your energy is very powerful. And I think that your guides wanted you to know that you have a pretty good balance on these two parts of you. So if you're watching this, this is kind of confirmation that like if you've been doing the work to balance these two sides of you, you're doing a really good job and you're sitting in your power right now. One side of you, the air side, is very, very good at leading. You're very good at communication. You're very good at making sure that people are, you know, getting what they need in a way of you tell them like it is, but you also guide them. And then opportunity, I feel like this grounded side of you is the side that brings opportunity to you. So you have this leadership that you use, and you actually use it with this side to bring you opportunities. So basically, when you get a download as the mystic, you breathe life into it by communicating it, putting it out there, writing about it, putting it in music, putting it in art. And then that brings you the stable opportunity that you need in order to feel like you're grounded and feel like you are moving forward the way that you need to. Now, as far as the trigger statements that came out, there is kind of a nudge for knowing that like you don't always have to be in that super grounded energy, because I feel like that's kind of a safe zone for you. And I feel like you've been trying to work your way out of that a little bit, to kind of balance these out, like I said. But I think that knowing that you're magical and that you have, you know, your imagination, you have whatever these, you know, mystical powers may be, like there's more miracles and there's more magic and there's more things in this world than necessarily you feel right now. And then on this side, you have the my voice is heard is your statement that you're supposed to say. And I feel like sometimes you might feel like the words that you're saying or the things that you're saying aren't making sense, or they're not getting through to the person that they need to get through to. But I think spirit is trying to tell you that they are, because the more that you communicate the deeper things that you believe in, the more that you talk about your faith and the things that you are passionate about, the more opportunity you get, because there are people that listen to you and there are people that support you because you're a leader and that's what you're meant to be. And so it's very interesting because your energies are already working together really well. It's just a matter of knowing that you don't always have to be so practical or so grounded, because I feel like spirit's kind of saying like, okay, your duality is pretty balanced, but make sure that you're still allowing for those other two elements, right? Like the passion from the fire, and then like your emotions and like the softer side from the water, because those aren't really in here very much. So I think spirit is really telling you like, you have the strength, you have the power. Like now it's just time to trust that and to know that miracles will happen, things will come to you. And like, if you do feel stressed by this sometimes where you're fighting between like your head and your heart, just know that that's just something that happens for everybody at some point in life, and that it is going to be okay. But it's also okay to accept that sometimes it does get hard to believe and it gets hard to have faith, but you have an abundance of that within you and you're already doing a great job.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I haven't got any more channel messages for you guys so far, but what are those two crystal cards?
Yeah, so I forgot to read them to you, but this one is Cuprite. And this is Aquarius Venus, so that could be confirmation for you. And I actually kind of chuckled when this came out, because this is Wave Light, which is decisions, flow, and big picture. So this is generosity, security, and flow. And then this is decisions, flow, and big picture, and it's Aquarius moon. So you might have Aquarius in your chart somewhere if you're watching this. But both of these talk about flow, and this one talks about security, whereas this one talks about like big picture and decision.
Yes. So really, I think a lot of what was said that Bekah said like really makes a lot of sense. The only thing that I really want to add is that like I noticed that you do have a lot of blue in this, and I mentioned I picked up on the color blue like before we even started. So I think that the throat chakra, and why Spirit was mentioning that Mercury is an important placement for you, is because maybe part of the reason you feel like people don't hear you is because maybe you've been communicating in a way like where you're trying to communicate in a way that works for other people and not so much for you. So if you look at your Mercury placement, right, because Mercury is a planet of communication. Both Gemini and Virgo are Mercury ruled. But so let's just say that you have a Mercury in like Cancer. Well, someone who has a Mercury in Cancer is going to have a much more emotional, deep, like way to communicate than someone who has a Mercury in Virgo. Like that's going to be a lot more logical, a lot more, it's going to feel a lot more at home in Mercury. And maybe you have a lot to say and you don't know how to say it. You know what I mean? Like, and so I think that, and you can be this great leader and you can have all these amazing opportunities and things that are coming to you, but maybe the reason that you know, we had that thing about like, you don't know me, and, you know, talking about like the trigger statement, like no one hears me. Maybe it's because you're not leaning into actually your strength in communication. And so that's something that I'm feeling called to bring up. It's like, you have this ability to communicate and actually be really helpful to other people. And if you feel like you struggle with that, maybe looking at your astrological chart will really help you figure out the best way to communicate for yourself so that your messages can come across to other people.
I think that makes a lot of sense. So I think you've done a good job of balancing, but now it's about sharing, one, probably how you balance that, right? Like how that works for you, but also about like your journey and like the things that matter to you, and making sure that you're not filtering them or making them, you know, easier, quote unquote, to digest for other people.
Yes, it's kind of like the fine tuning, you know what I mean? Like it's like you have the way I'm hearing it from spirit, it's like you have the harmony and the melody like almost right, but there's just a few little tweaks that need to be made, and it's like you're finding like the, you know, do I turn the bass up or do I bring it down? Do I like, you know, use the synthesizer, like that type of. So it's interesting that they're showing it to me in the way of like how you would make a song. So maybe for some of you, that is one of your creative outlets. Hi, Sebastian.
Hi.
You did have that gray fat cat that came through.
Yes, my cat is gray, but he's not fat. He's a big boy though.
He's stocky.
Yes. Okay, so the next section that we're going to do is about astrology in a way, but it's kind of going to tell us a little bit more about maybe some things that are coming, maybe some parts of you that need a little bit of attention, to show us maybe if there's some duality going on in your astrology that might cause that duality that we saw in the first few cards. So if those first cards resonated for you, then this is going to be all about kind of some advice or some information about your duality, and kind of maybe some things that are coming or things that are going on right now.
So for me, it's 9:12 on the clock, which is Namjoon's birthday. Like, no, it's not his birthday today. I was like, but his birthday is 9/12, like September 12th. And we always pick up on time birthdays, which is just like when you see your birthday in the clock, like on the time. And I got him in your channel messages. So maybe there's something from Junie specifically. Like, I know this is an I.M reading, but they're both very wise people. I was like, so maybe there's something that he has to say, or like, you know, something like a song of his that would also really help and resonate for you.
I'm laughing. So I just wanted to point this out. I'm not going to take them, but I am going to show you. You have these kind of flew out across the room, but they didn't come out with the other ones. But I was laughing because this is your duality. So I'm just, actually, you know what? I'll just stick them down here. It's fine. Okay. And the bottom of your deck right now, I'm just going to show you, is Mercury retrograde, which Laina picked up on Mercury, and right now we're in Mercury retrograde. Like, if you're watching this when we put it out, it is, of course, a timeless reading. So obviously, if it's not Mercury retrograde and when you're watching this, that's okay. But when we put this out originally, it is Mercury retrograde currently. And for air signs, that generally is a little bit difficult, especially since Mercury retrograde is in Aquarius right now. And then like, it's also, you know, Uranus was square to Mercury retrograde when we started this, which Uranus is all about like technology, and it actually rules over Aquarius. But it's technology, social circles, friendship, anything that has to do with like rebellion, which I thought was really funny. Reinvention. Yeah. So I just wanted to point that out. And then we'll get a couple of these. You guys are already getting more cards than the other groups for the astrology cards. Okay, so your first one is Sagittarius. We'll stick that over here. And then your other one, which you did have North Node come out. So we have Aries and Sagittarius so far. And then, of course, air elements, which is Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. And then Earth, which is Capricorn, Virgo, and Taurus. So if you're any of those, or if you have a North Node in any of those, that could be confirmation for you. One more, please. One other thing that I'm picking up just off of this is because Aries and North Node came out next to each other, that tells me that it has something to do with your passion. So your North Node is all about your life purpose. And when you think of life purpose, usually it follows a passion. So usually whatever lights you up and makes you feel like you could do it forever and ever, no matter what, like that's your passion. And that is your life's purpose generally. So I think that there's some focus on that. And I think that that kind of goes along, which I'm laughing, I didn't even think about it, but I am is the Aries card. I'll point that out for you guys. But generally, when Aries comes out, I think a lot about like passions and like the self and about expressing yourself, which kind of goes along with what we were saying about a need to express yourself authentically. I'm just waiting for one more of these cards to come through. And if it doesn't after the shuffle, I'll split it so that we can get the one.
Okay, so while she's waiting for that, I have just a couple more channel messages that came through. Spaghetti came through, and then we also had pizza party. And then book fair. Like, I don't know if you guys had these at your schools, but I remember I did at mine, which was when I was in like elementary school specifically, which was like the scholastic book fairs where you would go and like they would have all the books and you could buy them, and there were so many books you could look at as a kid and like pick them out. That's kind of what I'm seeing for you guys. So like I don't know if that's something like maybe that your inner child really enjoyed when you were young, or maybe if there's going to be some type of book fair or a bookstore, or maybe you just need to go to the library, like just something about that. I've been feeling a lot of, and I didn't write it down earlier because I thought maybe like I was just, because we've been watching Once Upon a Time, I saw the dwarf Grumpy. So I thought maybe it was just because we had just been watching that. But I've been noticing that like there's a little bit of like a grumpy or like heavier mood right now. And I don't know if like you're going through something right now that you have a lot of like held in like aggressions or things that are making you feel bitter, or they're talking about like held in aggression, annoyances, like things that are making you like where you're biting your tongue a lot, and like Spirit is saying you need to find a way to express that that's healthy, whether that's communicating with the person directly or frustration and dispute. So there's something like there's something in there that like needs to be expressed and like said, but or just at least expressed through art. Like if you don't feel like you can talk to whoever, or maybe it has nothing to do with anyone, because sometimes we just feel frustrated within ourselves, right? Like we want something and it's not happening, and like we can get really discouraged and frustrated, and Spirit saying like don't hold on to that, like let it out.
Yeah, I definitely would agree. Like we've kind of said throughout the reading, like there's this need to express who you are and what you love authentically. And I think that the more that you keep things in that you care about or that you feel like you can't share, the more frustrated you're going to get. It may even be that like your not self theme in human design is frustration. And that shows you that like, oh, I'm not living my design because I'm not sharing my truth the way that I should be, or like as much as I should be. Oh my gosh, my cat is all over this reading, just letting you know. I'm just going to let him sit there. Okay, so you have Sagittarius, which I pointed out already. You have Neptune, which is inspiration, dreams, spirituality, and delusion. So again, there's a lot about spirituality. That's also Pisces energy. Your moon cards, you have a personal issue reaches resolution, which is full moon in Cancer. And then, which we just had this month, actually in January, if you're watching this real time. And then bring love into the situation, new moon in Aquarius, which we also had this month. So that's very interesting to know. I'll get to that in a second as to why that's really interesting. You have the willpower and vulnerability star, which is Regulus, strength and Fragility teaches how our vulnerability is purely a blessing. So again, more about being vulnerable. And then, of course, you have Atarf, which is frustration, and dispute, which is Cancer energy, which is allow your mind to wonder, hinder yourself from unnecessary answers. So it may even be that you overthink a lot of things as well, and that you may need to communicate to help get some of that out. Like you may have a lot of anxious energy because you have a lot of things to like say, or a lot of things that you're trying to sort through. And I almost feel like there's this need to express those things to other people, whether that be for help or just because you really need to discuss things with others, especially during like Mercury and Venus retrograde that's going on. If you're watching this real time, like if you're watching this and it's that time, then there's a lot of things going on in the areas of needing to express yourself in relationships, needing to express yourself in social circles, friendships, partnerships of any shape and form, when it comes to your feelings, when it comes to love, when it comes to basically, you know, anything that you're really passionate about. There's a lot about needing to express that, a lot of your values, in order to know what's for you and what's not, so that you can let that stuff go that you don't need, like the unnecessary answers, or to, you know, come to the realization and to share the things that you do need, or that will help you, or that make you better. Like there's a lot of focus around letting go of the baggage and like the old stuff in order to accept in like the new stuff. And I think for you, it's a lot about tapping into your dreams, tapping into what you love, what you're passionate about, and then sharing that unapologetically. Now, the reason why I said that these two things are very interesting to me as far as the moon cards go is because, yes, they both happen this month if you're watching this real time, but that tells me that, like I said, you're on the right track. Like you're right where you're supposed to be. And I think that Spirit is trying to show you, like, there's nothing that's off track. So if you have worries or fears that like something's changing or not going to happen, or like, oh God, did I do something wrong? Or like, if I'm not sharing this, does that mean that I'm delaying something? The answer is no. You're right on track. Everything is going exactly the way that it's supposed to. And all you have to do is keep nurturing yourself, keep doing the things that you're passionate about, and keep sharing your truth, but do it in a way that gets it all out and allows you to release it and to let go of the things that maybe are weighing you down or making you feel frustrated or anxious or uncomfortable.
Yes. I 100% agree with that. Like I said, I was really picking up kind of on your frustration, and Spirit is kind of showing me like boxing potentially as a way to kind of get that out, especially because we have Aries and Sagittarius here, which are both fire signs, and they kind of tend to deal with aggression in that way. And this is not to say that like if you need to talk about something, you need to, but sometimes we need to talk about things, but we have a lot of hurt or resentment or things in there that we need to get out first before we can come to clarity. You know, because I think like, you know, your strength is that you're able to ground and that you're also able to communicate well. But sometimes, especially if there's things like right now that like we've been, like Bekah was talking about, that's being brought up by, you know, all of these placements going all these ways and bringing up things about relationships, like maybe old hurts and things that you never really let go of, but you have a lot of like things that you buried. Because I know one thing about earth signs that I've noticed is that they tend to have a lot of grievances that they've pushed away and under because they don't want to upset anybody else. It's kind of a similar thing with water signs, if I'm being honest. Like, and it's just because of the fact that they don't want to create like a stir, or, and then of course Libra, because you know the scales. but specifically I'm talking about like earth signs right now. I think a lot of earth signs, I know, like they'll have things and stuff that bothers them, but to keep the stability, to keep things running smoothly, because it's a lot easier for earth signs when things are grounded and everything's good. Like we're like, oh, we're good, you're good, we're good, you're good, I'm good, okay, cool. Like, you know, like you did that thing that kind of pissed me off, but I'm just gonna bury the hatchet, because that's the good thing to do rather than talking about it. And so I think that I feel like there could be a lot of things that are, underneath the surface, and they might not even be things that like you're necessarily conscious of. And that could be why finding some type of physical outlet could be really good for you guys, because if you don't know what you're upset about, but you know that there's upset inside, because our body holds on to upset whether we want to or not. If we haven't processed it, we have to. So if you feel upset and hurt emotions and you're just like, I don't know why, like, just for example, right, you could be around like your grandpa, right, and you love your grandpa and you've always loved spending time with him, but lately when you're around him you just get so annoyed and so frustrated and you don't know why. Like, it could be because maybe something happened when you were a kid, it doesn't have to be traumatizing or anything like that. Like, could just be that, like, as a little kid, maybe he did something that hurt you or hurt your feelings and you just kind of forgot about it, but that hurt's still in there. So you have to be able to be like, okay, I don't know why I'm upset with my grandpa, but I know that I need to get this aggression out of me so that I can spend time with him, or, that person, whatever, it doesn't have to be your grandpa, just what's coming up. So maybe for some of you it is. I need to say, I need to go and like do kickboxing and let it out, and, maybe even put a picture of my grandpa there and like, kick his butt, like, and that way you can let those things, those grievances go, because then you can have that relationship with your grandpa. And if you know what it is and your grandpa or whoever this is would be receptive to a conversation being like, hey, that thing that you did really hurt me, then spirit is encouraging you that once you're in a calm, like, because spirit is never going to tell you to go to someone and yell at them and like kick their ass, like beat them up. Like, they're never going to say that, but they are going to say that it's okay if you have those types of feelings, because you can channel those out in a healthy way. And then once you're in a calmer state, it is always good to go and communicate with that person if they're going to be receptive. If they're going to do something that's going to hurt you worse, or, spirit's going to say, no, don't do that. Like, you can heal without them, because some people will not be receptive to what we have to say. And we just have to kind of learn to deal with that, even if it sucks.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree. Now, I shuffled your tarot while Laina was talking, and you got the King of Keys, so the King of Air, which matches one of your cards for your duality. You have the Ace of Talismans, which is the Ace of Coins, which is Earth signs. You have the Lovers, which is Gemini energy. You have the Moon, which is Pisces. And then you have the Nine of Swords. So it's actually the Nine of Keys in this deck. But that is Mars and Gemini energy again, or just air energy in general. So again, there's a lot of air energy in this group. I wouldn't be surprised if some of you are Gemini. But what this really tells me is, I think that in your heart, and like in your brain, I think you even know that you have these things coming for you that you might doubt it sometimes. And I think spirit is really asking you to lean into your emotions and lean into your intuition and really trust what you know instinctively, trust your gut. Because I think there's a lot of anxiety, which is what the Nine of Keys is about anyway. There's a lot of anxiety around maybe a new opportunity that could be very balancing for you, or that could have even potentially a romantic interest. But really, since we're talking about duality and the Lovers came out, this could be two things. This could be about this opportunity that's coming, or that you have right now, is one that you have to be very balanced in order to keep pursuing, or in order to trust that it's coming to you. And I think that that's why you need to get out that energy that maybe is keeping you anxious, that you are afraid to share, or that you feel like you have to sugarcoat, or that you have to adjust to fit somebody else so that they understand it. But it's like spirit's basically saying, like, listen to your intuition, your gut, your feelings, and what you need, and know that, you get downloads, you get clarity, you have all of the knowledge that you need, and you have everything you need to put it out there. And if somebody else doesn't understand it, that's not your fault. Like, that's a big part of it, is like, if they don't understand it, that's not on you. But I think you'll be very surprised to see that a lot of people do understand it when you put it out there. So whatever it is that you might be keeping close to your chest right now, or that you might be trying to adjust for other people, like, just know that if you delivered it in a way that's more authentic to you, because you are delivering information authentically, just I feel like there's some stuff that you have that you're struggling to deliver, but it's going to bring you new opportunities for stability, and it's going to make you feel very cared for and grounded, excuse me, and to feel very accepted when you are able to share that. Because I think that you'll see that there's a lot more people that accept you for who you really are, and that don't want all that fluff, or don't want you to be like a persona, or like they don't want you to be just one side of you. They want both sides of your duality. Like they want to see it all. So I feel like, you know, the people that are around you, the people that you love, the people that you care about, whatever audience you have, whether that be family, friends, soul family, whether you have, you know, you do music, art, writing, or, you know, you just work at a business and you have coworkers, like whoever your audience is, just know that there are more people around you that will understand and accept you than you probably think there are.
Okay, so one thing I want to note is that when Bekah said persona, that reminded me of the song Persona by BTS, which was written and recorded by Junie, and we've been talking about him a lot. So that could be one that you need to listen to. And then Spirit also wanted me to point out that the lovers actually used to be called the choice card in tarot back in the day. And because it's right there in the center, and this is about duality, Spirit is saying that you think that you have to choose between your two sides. And that they're saying, no, like you are both. You are not just air and not just earth. You are not just creative or not just stable. You are not just this or just that. You are both. There is no like, oh, I can only be this or I can only be that. And for some of you, it could be because there's more that you maybe, so they're showing me like a family business, right? And maybe you have a family business and you're like, yes, I'm part of this family and I love this family and I love the work that I do for this business. But I also have a really great business idea for my own business that I want to do. And you're like, but I have to choose. I can't have both. And Spirit's like, but you can, because you can still work at your family business while you prepare this smaller business that you want to start. I was like, and then you can work them in tandem. And like, no, you might not be able to be 100% in both. I was like, but then say your other business takes off. Well, then you can go into that business and be very happy, but still never fully leave the other one. You know, you can still be part of it. You don't have to choose. It doesn't have to be this or that. And they're very, very like active on saying that it doesn't have to be this or that. It can be both. It can even be like, oh, I'm a career man and woman, and I want to do career and I want to do this, but like you long for a family. You long for your person. And Spirit said, okay, so have both. Make time for your career and make time to have a person. And you're like, no, I can't do that. Like I either have to pick my family or I have to pick my career. And Spirit's like, why? Why do you put yourself in a shoebox like this? Why do you say I can only have this or I can only have that? Why don't you say I want this and that? Like there's no limit to what you can do except for the limits that you put on yourself. And Spirit is saying, no more saying, oh, I can only have this thing or I can only have that thing. They're saying, if you want chocolate cake and you also want a piece of key lime pie, then have both. Maybe not the same day, but it doesn't mean you can only have chocolate cake forever and that you can never have key lime pie. Like it just means that like, hey, today I'm gonna have chocolate cake and tomorrow, you know what, I think I'm gonna get the key lime pie, and that's totally fine.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree. Something I wanted to point out. Now, I know that you guys haven't heard any of his songs if you're new to this, or like you might not know all of his lyrics, but he does mention mirrors a lot in his songs. And the Lovers card in this deck is a mirror. So I just wanted to point that out because there's a lot. He calls himself I am, but he actually questions who he is a lot in his music. So I just wanted to point that out because when you look in a mirror, you're looking at yourself. And, you know, I think sometimes you don't necessarily understand the reflection looking back. But again, that's part of that duality.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to point that out. Mirrors could be important for this group for some reason. You might even be someone who would do well with like mirror work. So like if you need to practice like communicating or saying something or like speaking your truth, like speak it to yourself in the mirror first or do affirmations, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But we'll clear these and then we'll do stickers, which we're super excited about. And then my favorite part, which is our homemade decks. Okay. So far, it sounds like, you know, they're giving you a lot of advice, but really, like I said, you already are very balanced. It's just a matter of there's some tweaks here and there. Okay. I'm so excited. Now, I've been adding more and more stickers to this box. Pretty soon I'm going to have to go and like clear it out because it's getting too full. So I'm probably going to have to like, you know, freshen it up a little bit. Yeah. Freshen the sticker box. Rotate. Which is hilarious because I.M has a song that he wrote called Rotate. But it's fine. We'll do just okay, that's plenty. Oh, they threw out a bunch over here. Hold on. Oh boy, actually, it's not that many more, so I guess I will keep them. And I'm just gonna pull these off. Okay, so your first one is Relax Mama. So some of you, again, there's a lot of anxiety in this group. So I feel like, you know, for some of you, like, especially those of you that are mamas or that want to be mamas or that are going to become a mama, you know, that's just saying like, you know, try to do things that are stress relieving, things that make you feel relaxed. Be safe about it, but get a massage, maybe like do some aromatherapy, burn some candles, take a nice hot bath, do things that make you feel relaxed, and really help you to like soothe any, basically use more of your watery energy. You have adventure awaits. So for some of you, maybe some traveling. Are you okay? Sleeping with Sirens. That's a band recommendation for you. I didn't even know that was in there. Oh, you have Our Due Date. So some of you might be finding out that you're going to have a baby. You have Let's Have Dinner. For those of you that are not having a baby, this looks like wine.
Or fruit punch if you are having a baby.
Yeah. You have a girl that's like eating in front of a food store. So maybe snacking, getting some things that make you feel comforted food-wise. You have Urgent. So you might have something that comes up that's urgent, or it may feel like, you know, or maybe you really are having your baby like really close to the day that you're watching this. Be Your Best You. Again, that's a mirror.
Yep.
Pretty Dope.
Dope by BTS.
Yes. Blooming is the idea of becoming something different. You have Hello from the Bear Rice Ball.
Hello, it's me.
You have a little ice skater. So I feel like for some of you, it might feel like you're skating or like you're on thin ice or something. And I think Spirit's here to tell you that like you're not. Like the ice is a lot thicker than you think it is, and like you're perfectly safe. You have the little truck with the heart. So for some of you, there might be some love on the way. For others of you, that could again be signifying maybe a new family member. You have Keep Climbing. So keep going. You're doing just fine. Oh, you have the two owls.
Oh.
It's like a mama owl and a baby owl.
Yep, that's what I was thinking too.
You have the Canoe. So again, like travel, adventure. Maybe some of you really like to camp. You have the number 10, which is a completion number. It's all about, so 10 reduces to 1 if you want to do a reduction in numerology, which is all about the self. But 10 itself is the number of completion. So you might be completing a cycle right now, or you might be about to start a new one. You have the girl who like accidentally dropped a broken heart, I think is what she is. And she's very worried about it. And I think like this might be like a fear that you have or something that might be coming up for you. And I think spirit is saying like, if you are worried about your heart getting broken, like it's going to be okay. And you've got this, like, you know yourself well enough that it's going to be all right. And if you have had your heart broken before and like you're still kind of reeling from that, take the time to nurture yourself and to really allow yourself to go in and like comfort yourself about that if that's something that's on your mind or if that's something that's making you anxious. And don't be afraid to like lean on people for support when you need it. You have Fantastico. So maybe somebody needs to eat some tacos. You have the girl with the heart. She's all happy. So you might be getting like a love offer, or you might be feeling that way here pretty soon. So if you are feeling like you have a broken heart, there is some stuff in here about like a new romance or like love is on the way. You have a guy poking the girl's face and it says morning. And she's got like a little happy face up there in the corner, which is really cute. So it might feel like you're waking up to something new. And then you have stop and smell the roses, which roses is actually I.M's favorite flower. So just pointed that out. But basically take the time to really allow yourself to appreciate the little things and to give yourself the little things. So if you go to the store and you see a really pretty flower that you want to buy or like a bouquet of roses, buy it for yourself. Like that's self-care in itself because you're doing something nice for yourself that makes you happy. Now, before I go on to our last thing, which is the special cards, does Laina have any more channeled messages?
Just one that came through, which was sandalwood, the scent.
Ooh, that's a good oil. That's also one of the oils for Aquarius season, which is what we're currently in right now, which is also I.M's zodiac sign. So very interesting. I'm going to shuffle these out. So these ones are the quotes by him, and then these ones are actually lyrics. So you'll get 4 lyric cards and then 3 of the ones that are quotes. So we'll start with the lyric ones and get 4 for group 1. I had a really hard time picking because he has so many good lyrics. Apparently your guides are having a hard time picking too. Oh, there they are. Okay. And then I'll shuffle out 3 of these and then we'll open them for you. More for file 1, please. There it is. Okay. All right. So we'll start with these, which are your lyric cards. If I can get it open. There you go. So your first one is, I'm mixed and complex. I don't know myself well. Yesterday, I couldn't empty it out. I'd rather burn it. The tears that fall are oil. Make the flame burn higher. Pour it out. No more regrets. Burn it all up and high, which is from Burn. And you got, oh, yes. So this is from Who Am I, which is the actual pile that you picked. And it says, more than success, what was I born for? I want to find my roots. My flowers fell and even my fruit. Like my name, I want to bloom. I'm only human. Can you see me now? The question, who am I? My opportunity is the bottom of the ninth inning. The question, who am I? I don't regret anything now, which is funny because you have blooming here, and he mentions blooming in the song.
And you had opportunity in your part of your duality as well.
You sure did. Your third one is Horizon, which you did get that channeled message about Horizon, so you might need to check out pile 2. It says, want to get inside your night? You can make me drown, hold me tight. Take it, go take it. I'll believe in you even when I go blind. I just want to focus. You should never let the sunrise squander. So for me, that's all about like taking the chance while you have it. And of course, giving in to the things that make you happy and that make you feel comfortable, comforted. And then, oh, this is one of my favorite of his songs. You have, we're childish like we were when we used to play back then. I let go of rationality as if I'm drawn by the wind. I don't even know what this feeling is. Even if I try to pretend I don't know, everything seems to be obvious. I don't know. I like it the way it is. I don't know me well. I guess it's not a lie that I really like you. I'm happy to die right now. So again, there's a lot of like back and forth feelings in those lyrics. And even in like a couple, like 2 or 3 of these songs, he talks about like not knowing himself. And I feel like for you guys, like if you're questioning like, who am I? Or like you need to, like you feel like you need to assess like some things about yourself, like, you know, again, like you can look in the mirror or you can talk to somebody. Obviously we're not therapists, right? But we highly recommend therapy. Like if you need someone to communicate your feelings to get them out, then therapy is a very good option for that. But also, you know, again, your creativity, you have so much about passion and creativity in this group that if you need to even say like, I don't know who I am, just, you know, he's an example of someone who does that. And that's a way for you to get that thought out and to get that feeling out and to say, I have no idea who I am right now. And I don't recognize myself. And like, I kind of just, you know, need to talk about that feeling and talk about what that means and kind of sort through it. And that's okay. And like, there's a lot about releasing that anxiety around that and knowing that it's okay to not always know exactly who you are, because you're constantly changing and developing. Mm-hmm. Now, quotes. We have, sad now doesn't mean sad forever, and happy now doesn't mean happy forever. Life is kind of like a roller coaster. So these are quotes directly from him through interviews, fan meetings, things like that. The other one is, well, I guess you have 2 more. What's wrong with falling down? Clap off the dirt on your hands, get up and keep on walking. Maybe you're flying right now. And then the last quote that you have is, and I think love is the best thing we can do as humans. Super soft.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I want to bring up is that kind of like when Bekah was going through and like shuffling these, like I was getting a lot more into your energy, and there is a lot of pain. It seems like unprocessed pain. Like I mentioned earlier, like stuff that's being held down and stuffed down. And this is not to say like if you've been doing a lot of healing work or anything like that, because I think when people hear this, they think, oh God, that must mean that all my stuff is far away because like, you know, like my manifestations, because I have so much pain that I haven't dealt with. We're always going to be dealing with our pain. But actually the message that I'm getting from this is that it's okay to share that pain with someone else. It's okay to open up and say, hey, I'm in pain. Like I am struggling. I have this stuff inside of me that I don't understand. Or like we said, in case of identity, I don't know who I am and it really hurts me inside. Or I thought I had to be this way, but now I'm finding out that I'm actually like this. And that really confuses me. Like there's just a lot of like heavy burden. And I think that with this group, you kind of tend to, because you are a leader and because you have, you know, opportunities. I think a lot of people look up to you. I think that, and we had a lot about needing to be vulnerable. I think that there is just a lot that you don't share with other people, where you don't realize how not only how much it would benefit you, but how much it would benefit other people to know that you can share your burdens with them, and then they can share their burdens with you. You don't have to be the only one that is burdened.
I definitely agree. And like I said, like if you're feeling that way, I think there are a lot more people around you that will understand and will be sympathetic, but also that can give you that shoulder that you need, or that can say, hey, I feel like that too sometimes, and kind of give you that validation. So,
Mhm.
it is hard to be vulnerable, but I think that there's a lot of good things that come out of it, as long as you're doing it with the right people. So of course, always listen to your gut, and always know, like, who in your life is there for you. So trust that they're going to be there for you, and know that, like, when you do open up, if you decide to, in whatever way that is, that you're going to have a lot of good come from it. So I think you might struggle a little bit with, like, the fear of rejection, in the sense of, like, people not understanding you, or not being able to help you, or like you feel like you have to do it all alone, like Laina said. And I think that, it's about facing that fear, and knowing that the more that you face that, the more that you're going to see that there are people that are here for you, that love you and care for you. And, like, if you've been hurt in the past by sharing who you are, it's not always going to be that way.
Mhm. And Wings by BTS and You Never Walk Alone by BTS came through, and then Spirit's asking me to point out, because you had those lyrics from, like, um that were, like, that had a lot about to say, like, who am I, that when we got Persona earlier, that's also a lyric that Junie reflects on in that song, is where he says, like, persona, like, who the hell am I, like, so it's I think that's very much a big theme for this group, is that you really want to understand who you are, and you're doing a much better job at it than you think.
Hmm. Yes, I definitely agree. Hopefully that was helpful for you, and you got lots of good information. Remember, if you're interested in pile 2, to check it out, because there might be more messages in there for you as well. You can watch any of the piles, however many you want, doesn't really matter. But hopefully that resonated. Leave us a comment, a like, hit subscribe. Sorry, let us know who you want to see in the future. So if you have, like, any ideas that you want us to look at for other K-pop idols, for other musicians, for artists, whatever that may be, let us know in the comments. But all of our social media is linked below, and hopefully we will see you in our next reading.
Bye, guys.
If you picked pile 2, then you picked I.M's mixtape Horizon, which is sometimes referred to as Sunrise and Sunset. It has 2 songs on it. It has Horizon, and then it has the song Scent on it, which are both great songs. Highly recommend. So if you found your way here and you didn't watch our intro, basically this reading is all themed around Im Chang-kyun, which is a member of Monsta X. It's themed around his solo music, which his latest album, like full album, was released last year, and it was called Duality. So this reading is all about your duality. So what's your duality? What can we tell you about it? Maybe some tips to help with it, information your guides want you to know around your duality. So it's going to be the 2 different sides of you and how they play off of each other. And then if they're balanced, if they, if you tend to lean towards one way or the other, how to balance them out. So there's a lot of information. We have tarot, we have oracle, we have an astrology section, and then we also have stickers, and then handmade decks that have song lyrics that are from I.M's solo work, and then also quotes that are directly from him. We're calling them Cunisms because his name is Ching Kyun. So we call them Cunisms, but they're all actually quotes from him that he has said throughout his career. If you want to know more about him, you can go back to the intro. We had a whole little blurb about who he is and kind of where he came from. It's a little bit jumbly because when I get excited, I tend to, like, stumble over my words sometimes. It's the Aries energy, and it's Mercury retrograde. So when we film this, so bear with me. But basically, we'll go in and we'll see what your duality is, and we'll get to it. So we're going to start with one card, which is your archetype card. So this is going to kind of give us an overall of what your energy's like. And then we'll split it into 2 different sides. So you'll get one side that is one part of your duality. And then the other side is going to be your other part of your duality. Now, Laina's doing channel messages throughout, and then I'm also doing a live shuffle. So if it takes a hot minute for me to get cards out, I'm just letting you know, because the last group, their guides were kind of picky. So just, you know, bear with us. All right. That's way too many. I just shot out like 10 of them. We're only taking one. Okay, so you have the thread for your overall energy. Now, for me, like if this is going to be a descriptive card for you, which I might get the book out and look at this actually, but for me, the thread, so when we think of the thread, like this makes me think of the red string of fate, which is all about like being connected to like your divine counterpart. You might be someone who's very, very like interested in love and interested in passion. You also have a rainbow up here, like above all of the darkness. And it's almost like this thread like goes up through the darkness to get to the rainbow. So for me, it might even be that like you connect to a lot of different types of people, and you help to maybe pull them out of the darkness or to bring them to a place that's lighter. Like you might brighten things up for people and make them, you know, feel better and help them through really hard times. And you're also somebody who probably is pretty upbeat, pretty like cheerful, because I almost feel like the whole point is that you're able to go down into the depths and to really come back out of it with a bunch of positive stuff. It's kind of the vibe I'm getting.
So I have the book for this card right here. So it says for this one, this card is considered to be the path, the vein, and the circuit. You may think you have to find the thread and pull it. Imagine though that it's already tied around you, waiting for you to follow it home. And then it says, recall a moment in your life where you felt fully alive. The thread is waiting for you, and the details of that memory. And then it says, when light, the circuit of meaning within the chaos. And then it says, it can be when dark, bind, frustration, and taut. So I think that for you guys, you are someone who is always following the thread of destiny, whether you mean to or not. And so like when you meet resistance in life, know that that means you are pulling against your thread. And when you are, you know, not, and you're following things, like you are like, you know, bringing meaning to your life, you are having a beautiful kind of like just things, I feel like things flow a little bit easier, like because the thread is not taut. So you're, you know, it talked about like finding that meaning in the chaos. So like even though everything else could be going a mess, you're kind of like still like in line with your purpose, you know what I mean? Like, and you know when that is, like it, like the world could be a mess, but you're like, I feel good, like it feels good, like you are that little rainbow above all the chaos here, and you have that line that keeps you heading towards the rainbow always.
Which, can I just point out that you have so many rainbows going on right now? Just thought I'd throw that out there. So far you have the Two of Cups for one side, and then you have the Hanged Woman or the Hanged Man for the other side. And then for your animals so far, you have the Jaguar on the Two of Cups side, and then you have the Vulture on the Hanged Woman side. Which I am going to read from the book for those two. I didn't do that for the last group because I think theirs were pretty self-explanatory. But this is a new deck, so I want to read. Okay, so all this is so cute. So you have abundance for this side. And then you have happiness for this side.
Oh, really
actually, I think that's backwards. There you go. Because this side is very like double. I almost feel like this is very Gemini energy because you have like doubles. Okay. Okay. You have, we're going to do some, I actually have a couple of different types of cards that we're going to do. But well, I'll do the oils in a second, but I do have some cards that are essential oil cards that we're going to use that can kind of give you an idea of maybe some statements that you need to revise, but also maybe some oils that would be really good for your energy, and a couple of other things. Oh, okay. Ooh, okay, so for this side, you have manifest. I can hold that up in a second. I just wanted to get the other card out first. Oh, and then for this side with the vulture, you have love. So I'll hold up manifest so you can see it, just in case you wanted to see what it looked like. It's very pretty. I'll do your oil cards, and then we have crystals too.
Okay. So some channel messages for you guys so far is Bekah actually channeled this one when she was getting ready for this reading, which was I Just Want to Fly by Sugar Ray. I also have Stone Soup, which is a book, but I don't know if I've ever made stone soup, so that could be something. Cheez-Its and fried rice. So for some of you guys, maybe you guys need to eat or like give in sometimes more to those like, you know, cravings and things that you have. So like if you've been craving fried rice or you just really want Cheez-Its, like it's okay to let yourself have those as a snack. You know, sometimes. We also have the sheep and the lamb that came through, and then Pet Cheetah by 21 Pilots or T.O.P. came through as a song. So that could be something for you to look into.
Yeah, I think it's funny because I Just Want to Fly is kind of a love song in a way, because he talks about like, put your arms around me, baby. But like, you also have the vulture, which I thought was kind of funny. Okay, 1, 4, 2 cup side, please.
I don't know why, but I just heard, well, we have a whale of a problem. So I feel like you guys are maybe kind of punny people. Like you guys find cheesy humor. Like that stuff makes you laugh. And Spirit is saying like that's one of the great things about you, and probably a lot of light that you bring to people is that you can be kind of silly, and they want you to like keep at that. Because actually something that I'm really noticing about your duality is that like you're actually extremely authentic. Like you, like if I'm looking at these two sides, they're not that different, except I would say one is more playful and one is a little more like I would say it's a mix of emotional, but it's not emotional in the sense of like it's not emotional in the sense of like I think yes, you have a lot of deep feelings and stuff like that, but with the vulture there, I very much get the like sense of like that it's protective. It's like a protective emotional like you're protective of those you love, you're protective of yourself, and also like I think your like vultures look right, so you're someone that I think would take a lot of like opportunities, a lot of things that have come their way, like you know what you want and you go for it. And the same thing with the it's a cheetah, right? Yeah,
it's a jaguar.
A jaguar. Well, like, and it goes like, you know, same thing though, it's prowling, so it's like you have this very like soft, playful, bubbly like aspect that's very loving about you, but you're not just that, like, and you're not just emotional, like you also know how to get things done. And I think that's why we have happiness and abundance, because it's not like you're just like la 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 like skips through the field. It's kind of like what we talked about already with your thread. You know when you're pulling away from your destiny and when you're going towards it, and you know how to go towards it so that you get abundance. Like you're like just basically like I think a lot of people might see you and go like, oh, like that person's dumb. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh honey, like there's not a thought in their head, but it's not true. Like that's more of like their perception of you, but not necessarily who you actually are, because you know how to shift through the chaos more than most people. So it's kind of like that, like kind of always on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So to finish your cards, on the left side, we have Black Spruce, which is restore. The trigger statement is I am broken. The true statement is I am illuminated. As you release your attachment to the highs and lows, you find peace and balance. Honor the cycles of your body and energy now. And then on the right side, which the Hanged Woman is actually Pisces energy, which I thought was really funny, and I'll get to that in a second. But you have reconnect, which the trigger statement is I need to escape. And the true statement is I am present. The root of the issue for you will make itself known. Be open to the information you receive from your body, mind, and environment. And that's Bedivere. Which the reason why I think that's funny is because Pisces are known, like one of their traits is being known to like being prone to escapism or to have ways to escape from reality, which is not necessarily a bad thing. So I don't like that we've kind of painted that in like society has painted that into like a bad thing when it's really not. It's just a matter of balance, right? Which is very funny because the other side of you is very balanced because there's so much about like balancing in doubles. Now your crystals, you have Amethyst Phantom Quartz, which is expression, gifts, and originality. Now, if you're looking for zodiac signs, it's Virgo, Capricorn, Aquarius, or Pisces again, and it's Jupiter and Neptune are the planets. I'm gonna stick that guy here-ish. And then the other one you have is Selenite, which is luminous, cleansing, and protection. And then this is Taurus and the moon, which in astrology, the moon rules over Cancer, but in the tarot, the moon rules over Pisces. So you may have Cancer or Pisces, or you may have Scorpio because you do have a lot of water references with the Two of Cups. You have the dolphins and the water. And then, of course, you have all the Pisces references too. So keep that in mind. Now, what I can say before I read the book about the animals is that I do see exactly what Laina was saying about like, you have a very bubbly, bright, like cheerful personality, and you need to keep that in the forefront because you do make a lot of people feel good, and you make a lot of people like feel good about themselves, but also just like be in this like lighter energy. I want you to know that if you ever feel like you have to be in that energy, you don't. So that's one thing, is that I feel like you have a lot about like brightness, right? But you do have this darkness on this card. And I feel like you lead from a place of love, and you do often follow your fate, just like Laina was talking about. But I feel like sometimes you might get overwhelmed and feel like you have to be that happy, bubbly person, when in reality, you really don't have to be. You just have to be present where you are right now. And so, yes, keep being yourself, keep being that rainbow and that sunshine and like that bright, bubbly, funny, humorous person, but also know that everybody also has that other part of them that makes them, you know, sometimes you don't feel that way, and that's okay. Regardless, keep doing things that make you feel happy and that make you feel good. Now, if that means that you eat, you know, 3 chocolate chip cookies and watch a sad movie because you need to cry it out first, then that's okay. But if you don't, and you know, you're fine, like that's cool too. But I feel like for you, it is very balanced on both sides. So you have a lot of that like brightness and cheerfulness on both sides of you. And I feel like you have a lot of like, it's like you have a duality within your duality, if that makes sense. That's why I was picking up on like a Gemini energy. Even though none of these cards say Gemini, you have the Two of Cups, which almost looks like twins. And then you have the 2 dolphins, and then you have the 2 sides of the Hanged Man. And it's like, you know, both sides are equal. Like it's kind of, it's interesting to me because I was like, even though you don't have that Gemini, I'm picking up on it. But you also have 2 cards about abundance or like manifesting. And so for me, I feel like you use both sides to manifest your abundance and to bring things to you. And I think that that brightness, that light that you have does bring a lot of opportunity to you. With a vulture, before I even read, I know that vultures are about patience because vulture is one of my spirit animals. So with the vulture, they're a lot about patience, and they're a lot about knowing which opportunities are the best opportunities for you so that you can swoop in and grab them when it's time. Because vultures wait for their prey. They don't necessarily look for it. They do circle around it, but it's kind of morbid because vultures eat dead things. So in order for them to have dinner, something has to die first. But they're very, very patient creatures. And they're not innately bad. Like they don't kill things. They wait for them to be dead first and then they eat them. But I feel like it's almost like you know how to pick up the pieces. So if you ever go through like a struggle or you have a really big problem, like this side of you is really good at like picking up the pieces and being positive and imagining a better outcome. And you have a lot of patience because the hanged woman requires a ton of patience too, because usually that comes out when you feel like you're stuck in a situation. But if I'm going to describe part of you, I would say that that part of you is very patient and knows how to wait out a situation, but also knows how to do it while being loving and while searching for that abundance, and while staying present. So that's really important. While this other side is a very go-getter, like very momentous, illuminated, bright side, because the jaguar is one that hunts. So it's kind of like you have like the patient side, and then you have like the side that's like impatient. Like I'd almost say like this is almost like an Aries kind of energy, because it's like you have the side that goes out on the hunt and like kind of, you know, goes after things and is very fast moving, very smart, and very like, if I were to say like Gemini energy, like they're very good at communication and very good at, you know, cracking jokes and getting where they want to and schmoozing. Like it's very fast moving energy. And then you have the slow moving over here, but it's very balanced. So I feel like because you are constantly following your destiny and you're making sure that you're doing the right things for you and you're really leaning into what you need and what makes you happy, that's why you're so balanced between these two energies. And I was going to read from the animal cards, but now I don't think I need to.
Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, so something that I want to, I have more messages. For one, that I had been writing down when we were talking. So the first thing that came through was the song called Better With You by 5 August. And then there's a message from Spirit that said, no one needs anyone to be complete, but you will be better with your partner. So because we have the 2 of Cups and we have the 2 dolphins, they were really having me look at that. And again, you don't need anyone to be complete, but your partner and you're going to really complement each other, like when you find them or if you've already found them. And partner, yes, can be romantic, especially because we have the 2 of Cups, but it can also be a best friend. It can also, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be romantic. So if you're someone that's like, I'm not really into romantic relationships, but like I've really been wanting like a best friend, like a partner in crime, Spirit saying like, yes, when you meet them, you're going to elevate even more. And like meeting them is part of your thread. Like there is someone on the other end of that thread, if that makes sense. And there's not just someone, but there's a destiny for you, like a purpose that you have. We also have Must Have Done Something Right by the Reliant K. And then Spirit said that you're a double entendre or like an enigma. So people have a lot of questions about you, and you know, that's just kind of like what you are. Like you might present one way, like we said, but then they have a lot of questions about like you and like who you are and what you're like. Then we also have Realize by Colby Calais. And then Waves came through. Specifically, I didn't hear the song until now, but Wave by 80s is now coming through. But then I was seeing Waves. And then because you had the purple crystal card and then the white, like they were talking to me very much about how your crown chakra is very wide open. So you were in communication with Spirit always, all the time.
Yes. And one thing I wanted to point out is both of your oils were for the root chakra. And with Pisces, like I said, you have a tendency to be kind of more in your imagination, which is a good thing. But I think Spirit is kind of encouraging you to make sure that you're grounding, because that's also very important for what we're currently going through right now. If you're watching this real time, we have 2 planets in retrograde, Mercury and Venus, that are really important. So if you are having a hard time with feeling stable, remember to do like grounding techniques, because that came through. Now, we're going to move on to the astrology section. So we're going to do astrology cards, and then at the end of the astrology stuff, we'll do just a spread of tarot to see kind of what else you guys want to say, and then we'll do stickers and the cards that we have. So your first card is Capricorn, which is I use. Which is a very grounded energy. Yeah, and then your other one is air element, communicating, number 39. Which I actually think that Spirit is trying to kind of give you an idea of how to work with your duality, which I'll get to that in just a second. We'll do 2 of these, please. Pile 1. Okay, you have the second house, which is I have, which is actually these are 2 cards, which is Taurus energy and then Venus energy as well. And it says this is the house of resources, material possessions, and values. Here's where we see our belongings, wealth, and finances, as well as the pillars on which material, intellectual, and emotional security is developed. And then I'll get you one other card. It's too many. Okay. Yeah. And then you have the 12th house, which is Pisces, which is I surrender. And this is the house of intuition and the unconscious. Here's where we can see transcendent experiences, hospitals, prisons, secret agendas, and hidden enemies, as well as unknown possibilities and one's weaknesses. This house is also associated with long-term confinement, seclusion, and psychic ability. So again, you always are aware of your destiny. And then we'll get you 2 Moonology cards. Being very picky about the moon cards for some reason. Oh, there's one. Okay, you got your commitment is being tested, which is first quarter moon. And then one more, please, for pile 2. And then expect powerful change, new moon eclipse. And then I did want to point out that so far you have a lot of blue and purple, which is your throat chakra and your third eye. And I know Laina pointed out purple and white already, so your upper chakras are really on. This flew out. This is Libra and Scorpio energy. This is Alikil, which is guardianship and protection. Do not fear to lose what you already have. Your heart is the guardian and your soul the brightest star. And then we'll get one more for pile 2, please. No, that was way too many. Okay. And then your other one is Asmidsky, I think. This is Leo energy, Saturn and Jupiter. And then it says individuality and synergy. Our human existence is the purest form of alchemy, for our mind, body, and spirit must work in perfect harmony. Very cool colored stuff. Okay, so for you guys, what I can say off of this, first of all, I'm going to go into like the astrology part of it. So for astrology signs, so far you have Taurus and Pisces. You have all of the air signs. So that's going to be Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. And then you have Capricorn. You have the numbers 22, which doesn't get reduced because it's a master number, which 2 has been important for your reading so far. So I would say 2 is probably an important number for you. And then you have 39, which is 12, which reduces to 3. So those could be important numbers. And then as far as these 2 cards go, these are fixed star and moon node cards. So they kind of have a bunch, but like I said, they had Leo, Scorpio, Libra, Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter. So Sagittarius, Aquarius again, Capricorn. So for me, basically what I'm getting from this is like, you already have everything that you need. And there might be a fear that you're going to lose something. But Spirit is telling you that like you are safe and protected, and that everything that you have right now is going to stay. Like the things that are meant for you are going to stay, and the things that are no longer meant for you are things that you probably don't want around anyway. So anything that you value in your life that comes from a place of love and that comes from a place of passion, like it is safe. You have it already, and like you're safe. Like for instance, if you have fears around like money, right? Like you're like, oh gosh, like I have to be really careful because of everything that's going on in the world right now. I have to be really careful with my finances. I can't spend a lot of money. And you're starting to get kind of like, you know, like material mindset of like fear that you're going to like lose all of your money, but you're fine. Like I think Spirit is saying, because you have Taurus here, that's kind of why I picked up on that. If that's the case, Spirit wants you to know that you're safe. And it's really hard because I actually wrote a blog post last year on money mindset, because a lot of people do have that fear. A lot of people go through the fear of losing things that you have that you've placed value on. And I think that there's a lot to be said about the fact that a lot of those things that you value are important, yes, but I think that part of you is learning how to be stable without needing to place that value on things around you. And I think that you're learning to place value on who you are and what you bring to the table. Because when we talk about like your duality, right, we were talking about how you bring a lot to the table already, and like you're constantly following your path. And the thing is that I feel like you still kind of have problems accepting yourself as you are. And I think that Spirit's trying to say, you have everything you need. You're perfect as you are. And all you need to do is surrender those fears to us, and everything's going to be fine because you're on your path. You're doing what you need to do. And if you're sharing yourself, your authentic self, and you're surrendering to us and letting us do the rest of the work, then you're doing more than enough. And so I feel like, you know, it's kind of similar to pile 1 in some ways, but not at the same time. Because I feel like for you guys, there's almost like this, you are your authentic self, but I think you don't realize how important that is and how much progress you've made in that and how much you have just because you're who you are and you're living your life. Like there's a big call for you to live in the now and don't fear the future and don't focus too much on the past. So obviously what happens in life, right, is we have events that happen to us in the past that then makes us afraid of things happening in the future. And I think for this group, like, it's kind of like if you've had something really big happen to you in the past, Spirit is saying, don't worry. Like, we've got you. We've got your back. You went through some lessons, but you know, you came out of it on the other side so much better. And like, you don't have to worry about that right now. Like you can trust yourself and you can trust the universe to take care of you, is kind of what I'm getting. Like, expect your powerful change, your commitments being tested, like, but not by Spirit. Like usually when you see this card, people get really like anxious about it because they're like, oh God, Spirit's giving me a test. And it's like, no, your commitment is being tested by your ego. Like your ego is the one that's coming in with that fear and saying like, oh, but what if this happens? Or what if this happens? And it's making you scared. And like, you might even have that issue with like self-worth too. Like, oh, well, I'm sharing myself, but like, what if this doesn't turn into anything? And I'm being vulnerable, but I'm so scared about it. Like, that's perfectly normal. That's perfectly, like, everybody struggles with that at some point, I think. If they don't, like, I feel like they're lying. But I think like being your true authentic self is really, really hard. And it's okay to know that like your ego is going to be like, I'm freaking scared, man. Like that happens sometimes. So when that happens, you just surrender to spirit and say, hey, this is really hard, man. Like, this is hard. It sucks. And like, even though it sucks, I'm going to keep going, but I'm allowed to be like stressed out by it or upset by it, or, you know, to be anxious or to be sad or to worry a little bit. Like, there's nothing wrong with worrying a little bit sometimes. And then once you allow that feeling to pass by surrendering it and surrendering to it, then you'll find that like you feel more comfortable, you feel more loved and more nurtured because you're taking care of yourself and allowing yourself to be authentic while still nurturing that ego.
Yes. Okay. So I only have 2 messages for you guys because I feel like Bekah really covered everything, and I wholeheartedly agree with everything that she had to say. The first one that Spirit was repeating like on the loop so that I couldn't get any other messages was about meditation and chanting, which makes sense because we had a lot about grounding, and specifically like mantras. Like it was like all in one blurb. It was meditate, chant, mantras, meditate, chant, mantras, and I was just over and over, and I was like, okay, I got it. And then the other thing was that they showed me I don't know if it's like a hairpin or like a barrette, and it had a pearl on it, like pearls or a pearl. So that could be specific for someone, but that's all I got.
I'm going to shuffle out your cards. So far you have the 2 of Wands, which is Aries and Mars energy, and then you have the 4 of Cups, which is the Moon and Cancer energy, but you have a ton of watery energy in your reading. So I would not be surprised if you have water energy in your big 4. You have the Page of Cups, which is also the Princess of Elixirs, which is water energy again. And then one more, and then we'll take bottom of the deck. I saw the 6 of Swords for like a split second, and I feel like that's important to mention. So I'm going to mention it and see if it comes back out. Oh, just kidding. They tossed out the 2 of Pentacles, which is Capricorn and Jupiter energy again, which is actually pretty lucky energy. And then the bottom of your deck is the 2 of Swords, which 2 of Swords is Moon and Libra. So, but the 2 of Swords for me is very much about like choices. So you like choose, because you have the eye up here, and it's almost like choosing to see or not see, or like choosing between 2 different things. You have a lot of 2s. Again, like 2 might be an important number for you. You have 2, 2, 2, so 2, 2, 2. But for me, this really talks about like you're kind of at this phase right now where there is a lot of balance and there is a lot of understanding, but I think it's only in a couple different ways. But Spirit's kind of telling you that you are on a journey right now, and it's hard because the 4 of Cups usually comes out and you see like a girl like sitting there looking at these 3 cups all like grumpy, and like Spirit's trying to hand her a cup out of the corner of the sky, but she's ignoring it. But for you guys, I feel like it's more about like, it's not that you're choosing to ignore it, it's that those other 3 cups freak you out a little bit because you've seen things not work out before. And so like you're not seeing that 1 cup, which is usually a 5 of Cups kind of situation, like you're sad, but it's almost like you have this opportunity and you kind of know like in the back of your mind, like in your intuition, that there's an opportunity somewhere, but you're not quite seeing it because you're still kind of getting through this section of fear. And I feel like it's a new beginning right now because you're actually pushing through that fear and you're learning how to nurture yourself and learning how to allow yourself to be your authentic self, which is helping you to balance both sides of you. And so I think that Spirit's basically saying like you're making that choice actively between sitting there and being scared or being scared and doing it anyway. And I think they're commending you because they're saying like, yes, you're sitting here making this choice, but because you're following your destiny, you're choosing the path of less resistance and choosing the path that leads to your happiness. So you're on a new path now. And so that old stuff that happened isn't going to happen anymore because you've learned your lessons from that and you know how to move forward and to pick yourself back up. And like they're bringing that opportunity to you, and you're learning how to heal that so that you can see it and that you can go through that and balance everything out and, you know, make sure that you're moving forward in the best way that's for you.
Sorry, just writing down a couple more channel messages. So you got apricots and that you get messages and dreams, and that's kind of all that is coming through as far as channel messages go. I definitely agree with Bekah that 2 is a highly important number for you. It's very spiritual. Like you could even be a life path 2. You could be born on the 2nd. Your birthday could be, you know, February 2nd, because that would give you like a 222 or no 22. Or if you're February 22nd, that could be 2222, which would be Pisces. Because we got a lot about Pisces here. Mostly what I get from these cards is that Spirit was saying to me a lot that you're at a crossroads. And it's not in the sense of like, it's not in the sense of like, oh, you could make a wrong decision. You know what I mean? It's very much in the sense of like, they already know you're going to make the right decision, but you feel like there's a lot of fear about feeling like you're not going to make the right decision. You're going to miss out on something because you decided to go left instead of right. And maybe you're always kind of wondering about the other choice. Like, well, what if I went that way instead? What would have happened? And it's like, you know, Spirit is going to prosper you no matter what decision you make. And so you just really have to trust in your own process about choosing and like trusting that choice that you make, because you're never making the wrong decision for you, even if things don't necessarily go the way you expect them to. There's always a reason, a lesson, a rhyme, like something that had to come out of that choice that you made. And basically they just don't want you to spend a lot of time thinking about like, oh, well, what if I had made this choice instead? And they want you to focus on the present and the here and the now and like right now, rather than where you're going or where you came from.
Yes, exactly. Okay, we are going to do your stickers, and then we will do the cards that are I Am quotes and I Am's lyrics from his songs to see what we can get.
I don't know why, but they said 7 stickers.
Okay, I usually don't count them out, but sure.
That's telling you whatever.
It's not very many. I guess I will just feel in here and pull them out. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, moon is important. Okay, yep. So you have the moon, which, like I said, Cancer and Pisces energy, depending on what you're looking at. Because if you're looking at zodiac, it's Cancer. If you're looking at tarot, it's Pisces energy. Also, it's about intuition, feelings, about mothering the self. It can be about how you nurture yourself. And it's usually about your emotions as well. And then you also have a crescent moon, and this is actually a Virgo Starry Night reference. So maybe art is really important to you, or maybe you like to do art for your emotions. Like maybe you make music, or you paint, or you write, or you draw, or you know, like whatever that may be. But I feel like that's telling you like it's really important that you continue to do that for yourself. It's very nurturing for you. You have happiness, which actually came through in your first spread. I feel like we said, you bring a lot of happiness. You have it will all be okay. you have this Instagram sticker, which I don't know if you can, yeah, you can see it. It's a plane and it's like a little playlist, like a little song. So it might be that like listening to music and like traveling, taking plane rides, maybe taking pictures, like that all could be really important to you. Now, obviously, if you're going to travel, make sure you're doing it safely with everything that's going on right now. If you're watching this, like when we put it out, this is a timeless reading, but make sure that like you're doing everything safely and by the book, and staying healthy. And then you have, yeah, I feel like this is probably you right now. You have this boy that looks kind of sad and his hands are in his pockets and it looks like there's like wind blowing around him. So again, like you might be having a lot of like anxieties or issues with like change, and feeling like Laina said, like which way do I go, and like not necessarily being comfortable with changes. And when that happens, you know, it's about really listening to yourself and going with the flow and allowing the wind to point you in that whatever direction you're going, and knowing that your intuition is strong and that no matter what decision you make, it's the right decision for you at that time. And then the last one, it says, I'm sorry too. So you may be receiving an apology, which I did mention. We're currently, if you're watching this when you put it out, it's currently Mercury and Venus retrograde, which a lot of people are getting apologies right now. They kind of make people slow down and reevaluate like their relationships and how they feel, what they value. Communication's really big during this time. Make sure that if you are getting apologies or if you're giving apologies, they're coming from a place of love and not from, you know, other motivations. Make sure that, you know, if something doesn't feel right, then it doesn't feel right for a reason. But if it does feel right, then, you know, it's okay to go with it. It's okay to forgive people, but it's also okay to reach out and tell people you're sorry too if you feel the need to do so. But you might be receiving an apology, or someone else might be receiving an apology from you. But it looks like whatever it is, it's going to end in like comfort or a hug, or like maybe you'll, you know, finally get some closure on something. Now, before I go on to our homemade cards, I'll ask if Laina has any other messages she wants to give.
Nope, that was it.
Okay, so these ones are your lyrics from I.M songs, from changing songs. So we have 4 of those that we'll get for this group. And then 3 of these you'll get, which these are actual quotes that we're calling Kyunisms, because Ching Kyun is the one that said them. So I actually kind of made this its own duality in itself, because these are like I.M persona and these are like Ching Kyun persona. So I kind of put both of them in there. But we'll go ahead and we'll shuffle them out and see what you guys get. So we'll do 4 of these for pile 2, please. There's 1. Whoa, that was way too many. No. Okay, there's 2 more, please. Okay, there they are. Okay. And then we'll get you 3 quotes. One. There's 2. And then 1 more. Okay, there's 3. Okay. So we'll start with your lyrics. So for your first one, you can open it. There you go. You have, even if I keep myself busy, I feel like I'm under the water. I just want to hide for a while. I don't even know myself. When dawn comes, I certainly become unfamiliar with myself. Baby, I'm just moving forward, which is from Loop, which pile 4 has Loop as their pile topper. And then we have, it was like that when I was young. I said I'd become a scientist and grabbed a pencil. Shit. The eraser said that's not it and erased everything I wrote. What's that in the mirror? I don't even know myself. Because I didn't want to become an adult, my doubts grew. Whatever I had planned to become or planned to do was scary. Wow, that really fits this group. And that was from Who Am I, which was pile one's topper. You have, I ain't follow simply what I see. I go follow what I need because I see that I'm loyal. I'm a go on my own speed, even I'm slow. I don't celebrate till I make it to the end. Ain't time for the hold up. You want me to be a shade, but I'm made for a big wave. Ain't time for the hold up, which is from Howlin', which is off his actual album, which is pile three stopper. Oh, yeah. Okay. So the last one you have is I want to say the ending was a rose. The questions that are still left are my motivation for moving. Whatever you say, I don't care. I'm not listening with my ears, but with my heart. You can see my life. You can see my start. Looking in my eyes, you can see my rise. You can see my eyes, which is from Who Am I? Again, pile one. So if you were drawn to any of the other piles, I would say definitely check them out since those came out. There's a lot in here. So Ching Hyun writes a lot about, we kind of discussed this in pile one. He writes a lot about like who he is and like not knowing who he is and kind of like diving in and trying to figure out who it is, which two of these are Who Am I? So I feel like you kind of have a similar question to pile one where you do kind of wonder sometimes like who you are, like who you're going to become. But I think yours is more about fear that you're making the wrong decisions or that you've gone down like a wrong path or like that, oh, what if something happens like this again? Or like, what if XYZ happens? And I think that spirit's trying to get you to ground so that you're not always wondering about what if, so that you're in the moment and knowing that right now you're doing exactly what you need to do and that things are going to go okay. You're going to make the right decision for yourself and you're going to figure out who you are along the way. And that's the whole point of life is you're constantly changing. And so one day you might think that you're XYZ, but then the next day you're someone completely different. And that's okay. You can go with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Like that's just part of life. Like change is inevitable. And so it's a matter of knowing that yes, change can be scary, but if you are able to ground into the moment, you can really live in the moment and feel what's good right now because right now today was the future even yesterday. So if you were to go back like, a year ago, think about like how you maybe were afraid of the future, but then think about where you are now. Now is the future for you here a year ago. So remember that everything goes the way that it's supposed to. And so if you have fears of the future, it's going to be okay, which you got as one of your stickers. It will all be okay. And then as far as your quotes go, which I'm kind of wondering if one of these is the quote that I thought it was. And if it is, I'll tell you. But okay, you have experience is very precious when you do it just once. Makes it unique. You have that line is not drawn by society, but yourself. And then the last one you got is I can't control all of these. And then it was in opinions in parentheses. I know I'm not perfect and I lack something, but I've learned to accept it because it's part of me too. That's another thing. Like I was kind of talking about that with your first cards about how you may struggle with trying to be perfect or trying to like always be that person that like is cheerful and fun and playful. And it's like you have to accept all of the parts of yourself. Because the thing is like even with this card, like that line is not drawn by the society, but yourself. Like I feel like you put a lot of expectation and a lot of like pressure on yourself that you don't really need to put on yourself. Like you are good enough as you are, and you don't always have to be perfect. You don't always have to be that person that, is on top of everything, like always cheerful, always bubbly. Like you don't have to be that person always. People will understand because you're just a human. Like, I know that's hard for some people, but like, you're human. And so you came here to have a human experience, right? And so a lot of the time people put all these pressures to be perfect on themselves when in fact humans are very imperfect, but that's what makes humans beautiful. So just know that you can't control other people's opinions and you can't, control what society thinks, but a lot of the limitations that you put on yourself are your own limitations. And those are the things that you need to ground and look at and say, like, am I being too hard on myself? Am I expecting more than what I really can give? Am I allowing myself to feel nurtured and to feel cared for when I have a moment where I don't feel bubbly? Like, that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from this group.
Spirit is highlighting the song Youth by Troye Sivan, like very much so. So please, if you've never heard that song, go listen to it. And if you have heard it, they're saying that that song's very important for you.
Yes. Well, hopefully those messages resonated, and make sure you go listen to I.M because he's awesome, and go listen to Monsta X too because they're great. And he's currently involved in all their activities still. So go check them out. But that is what we had for you today. If you're interested in one of the other piles, please feel free to watch it. Leave a like, a comment, hit subscribe. Let us know what you thought. If you want to, you can visit our social media. It's all linked below in the description box. And then let us know if you have any ideas or anybody that you want to see us do a reading themed around. We don't currently do readings like about people's lives because we kind of find that invasive. So we'll never really do one where it's like we tap in to see like what's going on in their life unless it's from that person specifically, which I mean, if somebody that's a celebrity wants to reach out to us and ask us to do that, sure. But for the most part, like we don't do those. So just, if you want to give us a recommendation, let us know if there's anybody that you want us to base like our theme on or anything like that. And we'll look into that for you. But those are the messages that we had for you. So hopefully we will see you guys in the next video.
Bye, guys.
If you chose pile 3, then you chose the album Duality. So if you skipped the intro and you are confused, basically this reading is based around Im Kyun, who is also known as I.M. He is from a group called Monsta X, but he also does his own solo work, which all of this stuff, all of her readings that we're doing today are based around his solo album Duality, which is the one that you guys actually picked. This is his album that came out last year. And their theme of our reading is, what is your duality? So we're going to go in and we're going to split it into 2 halves. And we're going to look and see what your duality is, maybe some advice or what you're going through with that duality, maybe how to balance that duality or how to work with it. Or if you already are, we might talk about that too. But we have tarot, oracle, we have an astrology section, and then we'll do stickers. And then we'll also do, we have handmade oracles that are basically, one of them is lyrics. So you'll get 4 of those, but there'll be lyrics from I.M.'s actual solo work. And then the other one we're calling Kunisms because his name is Ching Kyun. And those are actually quotes that he has said, either in like interviews or fan meetings, things like that. So we have a lot that we're going to do today, but we'll go ahead and get on what your duality is. So this section is kind of going to be a check for you. So if we get through this and it feels like it's not right, then it's probably not your pile and you should pick a different one. But this will kind of tell us, first we're going to get your overall vibe, and then I'm going to split it into 2 different sides to see the 2 different sides of your personality or your duality. So, oh. Bear with me because the first card usually takes longer to send out. But also, it's I should mention this, it's Mercury retrograde when we're filming this. So if you hear us stumbling over our words, or if it seems like messages are taking a second to come out, then that's probably why. I have a lot of Mercury in my chart. So for me, it kind of hits me a little harder. But I think with this group, you might also have a lot of Mercury in your chart, because I'm feeling like it's hard to articulate. So you may be kind of struggling with that, and you may need to work on your throat chakra a little bit. As far as like articulating goes. Okay, just one, please. There we go. That doesn't feel right. And card for pile 3, please. I also feel like this group is probably pretty secretive. Oh, this does not surprise me at all. Yeah. Well, you have the empty room as your descriptor, which is not a bad thing. Don't worry, you're not an empty soul. I'll go into what that means in a second, but trust me, it's not bad. And then we'll do one side. So we're going to do, yeah, that's correct. Okay. So we have the Empress for one side. And the other side for pile 3, please. Okay. And then, yeah, your other side is Death, which again, not bad. If you're watching this pile, do not get scared. These are not bad cards. I'll explain them. Oh, I wanted to show you this because this seems important. The bottom of your deck is 4 of Wands, which the 4 of Wands is all about like celebration and happiness and like marriage. Not necessarily like marriage in the sense of like wedding, but usually. But I would take it more as like celebrating. So that's kind of a hint at this is not negative. This is positive. Get you some animal cards. First side, please. Okay. Okay, you have the beaver, which actually makes a lot of sense with the Empress. And then on the Death side, please. Oh, okay. Interesting. You have, oh, hold on. Let me see which one of these they want. Okay, they want this one. Okay, you have Dragonfly. Okay, they said to take both of these, so I'm going to. This is a very interesting energy. They want 2 animal cards for this side. So your other one is Deer. So you have Dragonfly and Deer. Okay. Okay. You guys have a very interesting energy. You have Healing Chaos for the Empress side. Death side, please. We'll see if I need to switch sides on any of these when they come out, because I think your guides are just trying to get the cards out that they want. Okay, nope, that definitely goes on that side. Okay, Transformation. Your guide said, relax, it's gonna be okay. So if this is stressing you out, just know that it's gonna be all right. Oh man, that's hilarious. Okay, so you have, they told me to stick this down here for you guys. They're doing yours very different. So the void actually goes with the empty room. That's why I chuckled. But hold on. Yeah. You have Speak Truth. and Ask Body. Very interesting. Okay, and then we have some essential oil cards. So this can kind of tell you maybe some oils that will be helpful for you, but they also have trigger statements and statements you can replace those with, as well as maybe a little description on them. So let's see for the left side. Okay, for the left side, you have Independence, which is I am just like my mother, father, etc. But the true statement is actually I am free to choose. This is Petitgrain. You're ready to break free of the conditioning that has bound you so that you may continue your journey of healing and growth. Goes over here, which actually goes right along with Speak Truth. I'm not gonna lie. And then we'll get one for the other side. That side. They're giving me way too many at once. Okay, just one for the other side. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you got Revive, which the trigger statement is I cannot stand myself, but the true statement is I am aligned and time is the scent. Go within and allow everything that is not resonant to be purged so you can come from your heart, your seat of power, which remember that these are descriptive cards. So these tell us about your duality. So don't take this as you're doing anything wrong. And again, I'll explain that in a second, but I'm going to get your crystal cards and then we'll get into it. And if you hear any vehicles outside, sorry, my neighborhood's always loud. I don't know if you've watched our videos before, but it always happens. Okay, one card for the Empress side. That's not just one. So for your Empress side, you got this beautiful crystal, which is hematite, which is grounding, magnetic pull, and focus. This is Aries and Aquarius, and then Saturn energy, which goes really well with healing chaos. Then we'll get you one more card for the other side. Okay, and then your other side is this beautiful crystal, which is Angel Phantom Quartz, which is which is faith, healing, and renewal. And then this is Capricorn Moon. So that's a very spiritual card. Your cards are actually kind of fascinating. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I'm gonna put this over here. And then I'm gonna stick this here. So the void, I'm gonna stick kind of underneath of the tarot cards because the tarot cards are really important. But the void and the empty room are very, very similar energies. So they wanted me to put that one out here because it goes along with the empty room. But basically, the empty room and the void, when we describe like a person's energy, it does not mean that your energy is bad or that you don't have energy or that you're depressed. Now, of course, if you are depressed, like obviously we're going to ask that you seek assistance for that, right? Because we're not therapists. So if you're feeling depressed, like I definitely recommend seeing a therapist, but also doing things that are very comforting for you right now is going to be really, really important. And know that there are people that love you and care about you. But for this group, I feel that these are really a descriptor of the fact that you can make anything out of nothing. So with the void and the empty room, your energy is very much like you have the power to create whatever you want at any point in time. And it's almost like this, you could walk into an empty room and fill it with a whole bunch of like different stuff and make it all work together and make something brand new and make it a home. And I feel like you underestimate a lot the power that you have, because I feel like you have so much power that you haven't even tapped into. Because with the void, along with the empty room, like again, that's literally like you could like have nothing and create the most abundance. Like it's kind of fascinating. You have your duality, which you have the Empress, which is all about abundance. It's about grounding abundance. She's kind of like a mother. So she's kind of a creator. And then you have death, which death leads to rebirth. So when you think of the death card in tarot, you think of like an ending that's leading to a new beginning, like something falling away because it's no longer needed. And it's almost like you have this very like nurturing, loving, like motherly kind of bright side of you. And then you have this very like death side of you, which is very much like understanding of like the darker things, like maybe being interested in like the occult or in like, you might be spiritual because there's a lot of spiritual references that we'll get to, but you might be very like into, you know, stuff like tarot and astrology and like, you know, I'm someone who's really into things like, I think it's kind of like I'm very into like true crime and like serial killers and like reading about that kind of stuff and like the brain and like how it works and like death and stuff. And it's not in like a morbid way, it's just in like a, that's something that's interesting to me. And I think for you guys, it's kind of similar. Like you have that one side that's very much about life and creation, and that other side of you that very much understands the concept of death, which is very fascinating. Now, this is a Scorpio energy. And then the Empress, if I remember correctly, is Libra energy.
Taurus, because it's Venus.
Yeah, it's Venus energy. So Libra, Taurus. I also relate her to Earth in general because she is very grounded and she does have a lot of Earth references usually. But she is Venus. So keep that in mind. Those could be some signs for you. Now, on her side, you have the Beaver, you have Speak Truth, you have Healing Chaos, and then you have the I Am Free to Choose, and then Grounding, Magnetic Pull, and Focus. And for me, this tells me that this part of your duality is really good about like bringing order to chaos. Like you might actually have an earth sign in your big three, if not multiple. And so it might be that like part of this duality is that the more that you speak your truth and like do things that are in alignment for you, the more you heal that chaos and the more that you're able to balance things for yourself and for others, which the Beaver is all about building, right? Because they build dams. So for a Beaver, it's very much like, again, like that, like building your own abundance, like creation is very big for this side. And then you have the death side, which the dragonfly is a spiritual symbol. And then the deer is a very like calm, soothing, like nurturing symbol. You have Ask Body, which has a jaguar on it, I'm pretty sure. And then Transformation, which goes along with the death card. You have a lot, like you have the two winged insects that are about like transforming and connecting like spiritually. You have the I Am Aligned card, Faith, Healing, and Renewal. So this side is very like mystical, faith based, and this side is very practical, grounded, creation based. And I think that the way that you use your duality is you tap into the understanding of both sides of things, and that allows you to create something new. So you're allowing yourself to let go of stuff and to transform it and to create it and to build it into something new. And I think that that's a really important message for you, because I think that a lot of times you don't trust this side of you because you have the Ask Body card. I feel like it might be harder for you to go into this energy and to allow for things to align and to have that faith than it is for you to lean into this grounded, like communication side, if that makes sense. And I think your integration is knowing that you have to use both sides in conjunction for you to feel comfortable and to feel happy in that void energy, that energy of you making nothing, like something out of nothing, if that makes sense.
Sorry, one sec. Okay. Your guys didn't really talk to me too much about the cards because I think Bekah really covered that, but you guys got a lot of channel messages. The first one I got for you was apple bubblegum, so it's really funny to me that you have a lot of green because like that makes me think of like green apple. And we had Halsey come through, so like if you're a fan of Halsey or maybe you don't know her, like maybe you'll like some of her music. Pumpkin pie, solar plexus chakra needs work, which makes sense. Like if you're having trouble accepting part of your own duality, like it would make sense that your solar plexus chakra would need work because you would need to accept that part of you because it's, you know, part of who you are. Also Free Dobby came through, which is a Harry Potter reference. That could be something, but elves were mistreated. So maybe like that's something like in Harry Potter, maybe that's something you relate to, is feeling like, you know, like you're constantly doing things for others and like you're mistreated type thing. So maybe it could be again about breaking that side of that part of yourself free and letting yourself be fully free. Owls, Whiz Kid, Troublemaker, Lucky by Jason Mraz and Colby Calais, Mirror Mirror on the Wall, Tell Yourself You're Cute, Important Decisions, Potato Salad, Timberlands, Tense, Nature, Nature Walks, specifically the SpongeBob theme song, Snakes, Snails, and Puppy Dog Tales, and it says, It's a Boy, You Will Have a Son, that impacts your life greatly. Then it also got You Can Fly by like from Peter Pan. You can fly, you can fly, you can fly. Beetlejuice, Apple Pecan Salad, Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Sing to the Stars, which, you know, they said like if you don't understand that, then AKA your guides. So like sitting outside or even just looking at the stars from inside your window and like singing is good for you. They said it helps you clear your energy and like specifically like your throat chakra, like if there are unsaid things. You have a draw about you that pulls people in and can help you guide them. Tinkerbell. They said that you highly relate to Tinkerbell because you need people to believe in you, and you also need to believe in yourself, aka faith, trust, and pixie dust.
I think that makes a lot of sense for this group. There's really a high need to like tap into your faith more. Like not faith as in like religion. I mean, like, I guess if you're religious and you're watching this, then yes. But I think faith in the sense of like most of the people that pick this group have a spiritual side, because that's what that death side was all about, the spirituality. If you're not spiritual, that's okay. But basically like believing in it, it's kind of got a little bit of a similar vibe to pile one in the sense of like believing that magic is like real, but it might not manifest in the way that like you think it will. Like a lot of people think of magic and they think of like wands and Harry Potter and like, you know, big grand things happening. But the thing is there's magic every day, and it's about realizing like what magic actually is and knowing that it exists still, and then of course believing in it. So I feel like it's important for this side to really tap into that part of themselves where like they're allowing themselves to believe in things that maybe seem like they're not normal, or like they just, what, you know, like, oh well, what if that doesn't work, or like that doesn't seem to make any like logical sense. Tap into that and know that it's okay that it doesn't make logical sense. Like life isn't supposed to be about like understanding everything. Sometimes you don't understand what's going on, but it leads to the best things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, go ahead.
This is just more funny, but I know I already told you guys Mirror Mirror on the Wall, but your guides, as Bekah was talking, said like you need to say like Mirror Mirror on the Wall, I'm the fairest bitch at this ball to yourself. And I think they're just trying to get you to have a little bit of humor, but about having that confidence in yourself.
Yes. You have 12th house of escape, which is Pisces, and it's number 36, which reduces to 9. And then you have Saturn, which is truth, which is the 6th house, or not 6th house, sorry, which is number 6. It's the 10th house, sorry. It's Capricorn. I was seeing the 6. Okay, what's that? You have waning gibbous moon, which is releasing, gratitude, nurture, acts of service. And then one more for pile 3. Okay, just toss that on out there. Hold on. And then you have Aries, which is Mars energy and rules over the 1st house traditionally. And then I wanted to show you the bottom of the deck I might keep this. I'm actually going to keep this card. So the bottom of the deck is your 6th house, which is Virgo, Mercury energy, and it's I do. This is the house of health and jobs. Here's where we can see the daily work, life, routine, and organizational ability, as well as body care, diet, and exercise. Animals and pets also belong to that house. We'll do your moon cards. Oh, okay. This card just hit my cat in the face. It's fine. You have time to breathe. Take time to breathe out, which is disseminating moon. And then you have believe in the impossible, which is blue moon. And then we'll get your fixed star and moon node cards. Again, lots of blue in this group too. There's a lot of throat chakra stuff happening in the collective right now. Which makes sense. I mean, his album cover for Duality is very blue. You have RXA, which is harvest and culmination. Keep faith in the journey, for one day you will look back just to realize how content you are. This is Venus energy, and then Pisces, which is the 12th house. And then I'll get you guys one more. Okay. You have Asmitsky, which I think this came out in pile 2. It's individuality and synergy. Our human existence is the purest form of alchemy, for our mind, body, and spirit must work in perfect harmony. There's a lot of like rhyming and music references in here as well. So music could be important for you for some reason. Okay, so basically what I'm getting from your astrology cards is that there's this need to balance out your practical side with your dreamy, imaginative side. You might have Pisces in your big 3, or you might have Aries in your big 3. You also got Virgo that came out, and then I think you had Leo, Capricorn, and then Jupiter and Saturn. So, well, first of all, you might be going through your Saturn return, which the Saturn return is really difficult. Happens like once every 27 to 30 years, like in the ages from 27 to 30. And then after another 27 to 30 years, it happens again. It's like, it takes that long for Saturn to make a full rotation. So basically in your Saturn return, it returns to the same place it was at in the sky when you were born. And in doing so, it tends to bring a lot of lessons so that you can let go of a lot of the stuff that you learned that you don't need anymore from your childhood. So when you go through that Saturn return, it can be really difficult, and you can be really like heavy and very like, you might feel like you're struggling a lot. Obviously not everybody does, but most people go through some big changes when they go through their Saturn return. A lot of people will change jobs. They might start a family. They might meet the love of their life. They might, go through a lot of like karmic healing. Well, I mean, they do, not might. You always go through a lot of karmic healing with Saturn return. But, there's a lot of changes that happen. And then once you come out of that Saturn return, usually you have a lot of new in your life. It's kind of like the death card in the sense that it's here to be an ending to a lot of things so that it can bring you new stuff. We kind of liken it to like the daddy of the zodiac, like it's the sky daddy. And basically what it does is when it comes back around, it checks to see if all of your homework and all of your chores and everything are done. And so it will look at all of that. And if all of that is done after it's, after the return is over, then it will reward you for that. You'll get your allowance. You'll get, that toy that you really wanted, or like whatever it does to reward you. I don't know. It's different for everybody. But basically, that's kind of how Saturn works. Like it teaches you all of the lessons, helps you ground things into reality, and then you get like the rewards later. Now, 12th house, which is Pisces energy, is all about, it says escape, and that's part of it, but it's about like imagination and working with like psychic abilities and creativity in ways that allow you to express kind of like the things that are in your depth. And with Aries, I always talk about how Aries reminds me of passion, and you might even have like Aries or Saturn in your 12th house. or you might have your moon in the 12th house, or you could have those placed in your 6th house. So Saturn, Aries, or like Cancer, Leo in your 6th house. But basically, it's a call for you to believe in the impossible. Like, very much like believe in miracles, believe that you can do anything, and that you are, you know, like, don't put limitations on yourself. Don't do things that make you have to stay in a safe comfort zone. And it's not even necessarily that like all of you are like sitting in your comfort zone. Like, you might be someone who's done a lot of work and you've gone through a lot of your Saturn return and you're like, I'm doing the best that I can. And it's like, well, you are. And the thing is I think that this is encouragement for you to keep going, and for you to know that, like, it may be hard right now, but as long as you keep believing in yourself and doing what makes you happy and following your passions and believing that anything can happen, then that leaves you open to anything happening, and it leads you open to like a life of fulfillment. And so I think in your routine, you're being called to make some changes where you allow for time to believe in things, allow for time to put yourself in a place where you're daydreaming, or you're doing something just because it feels good, and not because there's an outcome, or not because you feel like you have to, or not because you know that if I do this, then that'll end up like this. Like, if you're going to do something, don't worry about the end result. Don't worry about what that's going to affect, because you're doing things because they make you happy, and because it doesn't matter in the end. Like, you're here to live life right now, and I think that you're being called to make sure that you're doing that. Like, make sure that you are living your authentic life in the moment right now, and taking advantage of the fact that there's a lot of beautiful things happening that maybe you can't see if you're too focused. This is kind of similar to pile 3 in that sense. You can't see everything if you're too focused on the future or on the past. And there's a lot of magic happening in your life right now.
Yes. Basically agree with all of that. And the only other additional channel message that I have for you guys right now is ladybugs, which to me symbolize like luck. And I think ladybugs are kind of their own form of magic, because they say like that when the ladybug lands on you, it means that like you're lucky, right? Like that's kind of a superstition. And now Spirit's singing that old song that's like, luck be a lady tonight. And I think they just want you to believe in your own luck and like your own magic, and the fact that you're able to make all these wonderful, amazing things happen for yourself as long as you just believe. Like, again, they're highlighting that faith, trust, and pixie dust. Like, that's something like, basically you bring the faith and the trust, and Spirit's going to bring the pixie dust. Like, they're going to make it happen. But you have to have faith and trust that it will, or, you know, it's not, because everything comes from what we believe. So if you're like, I really believe that, you know, one day I'm going to have the house of my dreams, and I'm going to meet the person that I want to marry, and I'm going to have this like son that Spirit, you know, basically just told me you're going to have, like, then you're going to have that. You know, I'm not saying that there won't be bumps along the way, or that it won't be challenging sometimes, that it won't be brutal sometimes. Like, it makes me think of that Olivia Rodrigo song where she's like, God, it's brutal out here. And I'm like, yeah, it really do be brutal out here sometimes, you guys. But if we can believe that things can get better, if we can believe that things will not always be this way, if we can believe that we're so ready to have our like happy ending, and I see that 6 of Wands right there, which is victory, by the way. Like, if we can actually believe that, then we can have it. Like, it truly can be ours.
I knew they wanted one extra one from the other piles, and I was like, I wonder why. Well, I figured it out. Okay. Lol. Okay, that's hilarious. Hold on. I don't know if you can see that, but you have the 3 of Cups, which is Cancer and Mercury. You have the Queen of Keys, which is air. You have the 10 of Swords, which is the 10 of Keys, which is the Sun and Gemini. And then you have the 6 of Wands, which is Jupiter, which is the planet of luck, and Leo, which you've had Leo a couple times. And then you have King of Keys, which is also air. And then you have the Prince of Keys at the bottom of the deck, which is air. And I think the upward pointing one is Earth. I can't remember, but air.
Yes.
There's a ton of air in this reading. So it may be that you're somebody that communicates a lot or has a lot of like air energy. But the reason why this is important, I'm actually really excited to talk about it. So I'm going to get there. But you have the Three of Cups, right? So this is all about like working with other people and like in an emotional way, like celebrating with friends, like celebrating with people that you love and that love you, and like opening up that way. The Queen of Keys is someone who's very good at opening up communication wise and is very good at articulating and is very like mentally strong, very smart, very knowledgeable. The King of Keys is the same way, just a little bit more masculine. You have the 10 of Keys, which the 10 of Keys is very much like that energy of like everything is fine. Like there's the Modern Witch deck that has the card that says everything is fine. That's the 10 of Swords. And that's really that energy. Like it's the energy of like, oh my gosh, I don't know how much more of this I can endure. Like I'm just over it. Like it's kind of like when you're at your wit's end and like everything has happened and you're like, I don't even know. I'm just gonna lay here and bleed out. Like it's fine. Like that's the energy. But right after that, you have the Six of Wands, which the Six of Wands is the victory card. It also could be a card about fame, a card about having a lot of attention on you. But in this sense, I feel like it's very much victory over this like this I'm over it feeling. So again, if you've been going through your Saturn return, like you might be coming out of it now, or you might be coming to a place where things are going to get a lot lighter, where it's not going to feel quite so heavy, or you're not going to feel quite so like beaten down anymore. And I think that there's a call for you to really balance your knowledge with understanding like that you need to chase your passions and do things that make you feel good too. Like I feel like there's an overwhelming amount of mental energy, and I think you're learning how to use that mental energy to your advantage instead of letting it take advantage of you. So I think there's going to be a lot less overthinking and a lot less of like being stuck in your head now, because you're getting out of that energy. Now, the other thing that I'm super excited to talk about is the fact that you have the Three of Cups, and then you have the Queen, the King, and the Prince of Keys. Because Laina got that channeled message about you having a son, this kind of makes me feel like these Three of Cups are you and your partner, regardless of if you're male or female, and then your son. And I almost feel like right now, this is the energy you're in, but you're going to have victory over this, and it's going to lead you to these things. So it's going to lead you to your partner if you don't already have them, or it'll lead you and your partner to having a son if that's what you would like. Now, obviously, this could be a pet as well. You did get sixth house. So like, if you're not someone that wants kids, like that's totally fine. You might get a pet that's important to you for some reason. But for most of you, I think that that's like a special message for those of you that resonate with that energy about how you're going to be overcoming this. And that's going to bring in the connection to these counterparts of yours that are like the perfect counterparts. So like, it's not that there's such a thing as a perfect relationship, right? Because there isn't one, but it's like this person balances you out so well and understands you on all levels and can help you stay in this energy of victory over all this overthinking and stuff. And I feel like together, then you'll create that little miniature version of the two of you, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple more channel messages came through. I had the Deathly Hallows come through, which, you know, like, again, another Harry Potter reference, but the Master of Death, and like you had the Death card. And so obviously, again, like when you have the Deathly Hallows, like they consider you one as the Master of Death in Harry Potter lore, but again, it doesn't mean like death, like actual dying. Like to me, again, I take this as like spirit saying that you're going to be the master of transformation and like knowing how to transform and how hard it is, but also knowing how you can help other people through that transformation. And that's why it's so important for you to accept that side of yourself. Because, and then when you do, like, I think that's also like Bekah was saying, when you're going to feel a lot of these burdens like lift, because you can be like, oh, like I can really accept this part of me that's actually really special and amazing. And then you also have things are on a steady incline, and then you have moving on up. And then they also give me the message of get a mammogram. So again, I think whoever that message is for, you're going to know, like maybe you've been thinking like, I need to go get checked up, or maybe you have a history of things like that, or like you've had a lot of anxiety around that and you're going to go and you're going to get it, and then like results are going to come back clear. I don't feel that energy around this. Again, neither of us are doctors, so please 100% take that with a grain of salt. Take it as it resonates. I'm just saying the messages that I get. But they also said healthy breasts are best. So maybe if that's something you worry about, they want you to go just to have a peace of mind.
Yes. And it is important to get that stuff checked out. So, you know, obviously if you're a guy, like you don't really necessarily have to worry about that.
It's rare for men, but it can happen. So if you are worried about it, you can ask your doctor.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to do your stickers, and then we will do your cards that are homemade ones. So I'm going to start with stickers, which is like one of the best parts, but it's kind of hard to do it where you can see it. I like to just kind of like and shift them around. Oh, look, there's the death card. Okay, that's plenty. Well, moon spells. All right. I'm gonna pull these off and then I'll do them one by one. So we have the death card, which this is La Mort, which is French, I believe. And this, but this just kind of reiterates like that's a big part of you that you need to accept. You have no way, which is a bunch of little rice bowls. So that looks more like they're like amazed or surprised than like it's an answer of a no. I mean, I guess if you asked a question, that might be an answer, but this looks more like a you're gonna be surprised.
Take it again in a sense of like someone who maybe saw the message that I just gave and it triggered them. Like they might be like, oh God, like, 'cause that's something I really have to worry about. And spirit might be answering them right away, being like, no way, like we just want you to have peace of mind. Again, if that message is triggering to you and like you're someone who gets health anxiety, because I am, you're a hypochondriac, and like you weren't, that wasn't even on your radar at all, please take what resonates. Again, we're not doctors, so don't go panicking to your doctor like a tarot reading told me to get a mammogram. Like take a breath, ground, you're gonna be okay. I think whoever needed to hear that message knows exactly who they are. Like, and that's where I'm gonna leave that because that sticker made me think of it.
Yeah, for me, this is more about like you're gonna be surprised by something, and you're just not gonna believe it. But again, that's gonna be the believe in the impossible. You have the margarita, so relax. Do something to relax. You have listen to your heart.
When it's calling for you.
You have a circle with stars, which Laina did get that message about singing to stars and outdoors. So you have a tent and camping. So that might be something that's important for you, is to get out in nature, even go camping if you can. Now, obviously, when we're filming this, even though it's timeless right now, for me, it's winter. So it's like snowy and super cold. So like me going out in tent, like camping right now, not necessarily best idea. But I mean, if you're somebody that likes to be outside and you like to do that, then like I highly recommend, because this group could really benefit from nature. You have remember to breathe. So maybe doing some meditation, some breath work, making sure that you're taking lots of deep breaths throughout the day. You can even clear your energy by breathing. So if you want to like clear your energy and you don't have any other way to do it, you can take in like deep breaths. They usually recommend you do about 5. But you take in 5 really deep breaths, like take in and release. And then like after that, you can, you know, during that, you want to intend to cleanse your energy and to release anything that you don't need. But excuse me. Yes, that's that. Apparently that's an important message for you, but make sure that you're breathing. Oh yeah. Okay. You have moon spells, which for me, this again is talking about like magic and like believing in the impossible and knowing that like you are magical and like you have the ability, like I said, to make something out of nothing. You have, oh, this is really cute. You have the girl that's like crying and like hugging the guy, and like there's a little heart and then a little duck in the corner. But for me, this is very much about like seeking comfort from people that you care about. This could even be about potentially meeting someone that makes you feel loved and cared about. Like, and you're like, finally, I met you. Like, that's kind of that vibe. Oh, you have a dream catcher. So for some of you, like your dreams may be really important. You may need to pay attention to them, and you may need to like write them down when you get up, or find a way to put them out somewhere so that you remember to like look at them and look up their meanings and stuff. Now, for others of you, it might benefit you to get a dream catcher, because those are said to like help with things like nightmares, and to help like catch dreams. So if you get a dream catcher, you know, to help with nightmares and see if it works, then that can be very helpful too. Now, obviously, again, see a doctor if you're having trouble sleeping, because they can help you. You have these two that are eating a little meal together. So sharing time with others where like you maybe are not sitting in front of a TV together, or you can, you know, like without technology. So spending time together where you have like full conversations and are attentive and like can enjoy the time together is really important for this group. Quality time might be your love language. You have You Are My Fave. You have the girl that's stretching, so maybe yoga, and she's outside. So maybe like yoga or going on a hike or doing something where you're getting your body moving in like a gentle way would be a good way for you to clear your energy or to move your energy around. You have You Are My Sunshine. And you have Shine On. There's a lot about shining in this group.
Shiny.
Oh, and then you have this. You have the Melting Skull. So for me, again, this is about like your brain is like overworking itself. Like you need to lean into that death side, but in the spiritual sense, because your death side isn't like, it's not the mental part of you. Like, I think your mental part is very much the part of you that's like the grounded, like speaking your truth comfort side. Whereas like you need to lean into your spiritual, creative, like death side, where you like transform things and take things and like mesh them and mold them into something new. Like that's very much that side. And I feel like this is like you're getting rid of that stuff that you don't need on the outside of your skull anymore, and like you're letting your brain kind of like melt away so that you can tap into that death energy, if that makes sense.
Yes. Also, I'm hearing Shy Away by 21 Pilots, so that could be for some of you.
Great song. Okay, so before I don't think she does, but before I get into these, Laina, do you have any other messages?
No.
Okay.
Just if you hear more noise, my kitty snuck in my room when I took a potty break, so sorry if you hear any meows.
Okay. So we're gonna get 4 of these, which these ones, no, these ones with the moons on them are lyric cards by Chin Kyun. So these are all his solo songs. And then we have these ones, which are actually quotes. I've been calling them Kyunisms because they're like his personal quotes. But these ones, you'll get 3 of them. And I kind of did like a duality thing with these because I feel like these are more like his like music persona. And then these are more of like him, like Chin Kyun, like emotion persona. Like they're like his duality in card version, which I thought was kind of fun. So we'll go ahead and get those for you and see if there's any messages that come out of them. And these ones, guides have been kind of picky, and plus they're different for every pile. So each pile got different ones. So if you were drawn to another pile, there might be actually some messages in there for you that are not in this pile as well.
Ooh, sorry. It just sneezed like 4 times. Sorry. Also, Machine Gun Kelly, while you're shuffling, came through. I don't know why. Just that's all I heard was just the name Machine Gun Kelly.
4. And then I'll get you 3 of the quotes. 3 for pile 3, please. You're taking a long time on these quotes. If they don't hurry up, I'm going to pick them. I had to count them because I was like, is there a reason? I don't think there is.
I'm hearing the bunny from Alice in Wonderland that's like, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late for a date. Like that's trying to rush. So that could be a message for you guys about slowing down and knowing that you're on track, especially for those of you like we're talking about like, you know, this message about a son, and like maybe some of you want to be a parent and you haven't found your person yet, or you're not even close to being married or engaged, or like, and you're like, what do you mean? Like, oh my God, that must mean I have to find them. Like, and Spirit's like, just breathe because everything's going to unfold as it should. And you don't have to worry. You're not late for anything.
Okay. So we're going to start with your lyric cards. Okay, so this one says, my reflection in the shower mirror is deeply exhausted. It melts into reality sometimes without resistance. Don't forget who you are. Don't let go just because you're out of breath, because it's okay, as it has always been, and you'll know when the feeling has passed. What should I really do? My sigh has become a habit. It's a loop that is repeated as if it was passing by. That song's gonna be stuck in my head. It's a great song. Okay, you have, I want to express myself. I used to write down words, spout and spit all day. I did as I wished, and to live, I took off my uniform and went all in. This is my path, I comforted myself, and differently from other people, I asked for loneliness. While being curled up painfully, I stood on a thorny path. It kind of goes along with that 10 of Swords energy. Like choosing the path that maybe was harder, but it has more reward. Okay, you have, I don't want to remember you anymore. I've erased everything about you, yet your scent still lingers to the point where I hate myself so much. I don't want to play back. Leave me alone. Even when I said I'm sorry, I lied. I'm sorry, babe. I don't want you anymore. I don't want, even when I said I'm sorry, I lied. I'm sorry, babe. I'm sorry. I can only say this, which is from Scent, which that's a very sad song, but he plays with the duality of like love and hate, like not wanting someone, but still loving them at the same time. So again, like Mercury retrograde is right now, and so is Venus retrograde. So if that's resonating for you, like you might be releasing something like that right now, which if that's the case, go really easy on yourself and be really gentle and know that it's okay to feel that way. For Burn, you have the night has become cold and now it is a meaningless fight. I don't want to waste my time on the pastime. Endless shot, let me head to the top. I don't want to waste my time on the pastime. Burn the accumulated emotions, burn everything without leaving anything, burn. That really goes with your death card. So a lot of you might be going through like an ending right now in some way, shape, or form. And like you might be releasing a lot, and that might be causing you to be more tired or to be a little more irritated or to feel a little bit more heavy than you usually do. And I think that, you know, for you, obviously, like I said, if you were feeling like sad or like heavy when you pick this pile, like there's a lot of encouragement in here about like you're on the right path and you have all of this magic within you. And like that feeling is going to go away. Now, of course, if you, like I said, if you are somebody who is struggling with that, there's nothing wrong with reaching out for help and for, you know, trying to find someone that you can talk to or hang out with or communicate with, and that there are people around you that want to help you with that. But for a lot of you, this is about the fact that you have it within you to help other people through this. So if you are letting go of something or if you are releasing something, just know that whatever you're releasing is for the it's for the better for you, but it's also okay to be upset about it or sad or to feel your feelings about it, and to know that like even though right now like it doesn't feel like it's gonna be okay, it will be okay. But regardless, it's kind of like a mixed bag, because I think for some of you, like you felt like this in the past if you don't feel like this now. And the reason for that, I think you're kind of seeing is because like I think that you're finally seeing why. Like you're seeing what the reason was for this. And I think for a lot of you, if you haven't found your person, you're going to see why these things happened and why like they never worked out before when you do find this person. So I think there's a few mixed messages with those. For your quotes, you have, let's not only walk the flowery paths together, but all of them, which again goes really well with that death card, like walking hand in hand regardless of the path. And I think a lot of you may be feeling like you chose the harder path, but I think in the long run it'll pay off. People who will stay will naturally stay. People who want to leave just go. Yeah, so there might be some things ending right now. And then the last one you have is love doesn't change, people do, which are a little heavy for messages. My cat agrees. But yes, basically that's what we had for you. So hopefully those messages resonated for you, and hopefully you got a lot of good information from that. And again, if you are dealing with anything heavy right now, you can always feel free to reach out to us, but we highly recommend therapy, meditation, speaking to people that you trust and that you care about and that love you. And you have a lot of people around you that do. So keep that in mind. But, overall, I think that the energy is shifting for you regardless. And there's a lot of change going on. So just tap into like that side of you that is ready for that change and know that it's all going to be okay. But that's what we have for you. So leave us a like, a comment, hit subscribe. Let us know what you thought. If you want to, you can give us a recommendation on any other artists that you want us to theme readings around as far as like their work. We will continue to make more, don't worry. But go ahead and listen to Monsta X, listen to I.M. His music is wonderful. It's very deep. He's a very wise, philosophical soul. So go listen to him. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you guys in our next reading. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
If you picked pile 4, then you picked the Loop single that I.M put out last year in September. So if you skipped the intro at all, or if you missed it, basically this reading is themed, what is your duality? So this is all kind of themed around Monsta X's I.M, his album that he put out, his solo album last year. It's called Duality. So this is going to be about your duality. So what is your duality? What are the two different parts? Are they balanced? How can you balance them? And maybe some stuff that, like, how are you dealing with it? What are some ways that you can use it to your advantage? Maybe some advice on it. We have tarot, oracle, we have an astrology section, and then we have stickers, and then we also have our handmade oracle deck. And so there's, well, 2 of them. One of them is lyrics from I.M solo songs, and then the other one is quotes from him personally. I'm calling them Q-nisms because they're basically quotes that he has said either in like interviews or fan meetings or other videos. But those we'll do at the end. And yeah, but we will go ahead and we'll get started with what is your duality. So we're going to do an overall energy read. And this is kind of going to be a vibe check for you. So if this doesn't sound, or feel like you, then it may be that this isn't your pile, but we'll go ahead and we'll look and see what we get. As far as what your overall energy is, and then we'll separate it out into the 2 sides. Interesting. Okay, so you have the Pilgrim, which I don't know a ton about that card. I don't see that one very often, but we'll look at that in a second. So So that is your overall energy. And now we're going to split it out into what your duality is. So what comes together to make that energy. Okay. That's way too many. So this side, we have the Six of Pentacles. And what is the other side? We have 4. Okay. It's a lot of stuff. That's not correct. Like 50 cards. Okay. Just one card. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so first thing I'm going to tell you guys is your energy is very scattered. So there's a lot of like, I don't think it's like necessarily anxious energy. It's just like there's a lot going on. Like it's kind of like there, like the information is not coming out, kind of like it's kind of like it's struggling. So your other side, you got Ace of Swords. Okay. And then I wanted to show you the bottom of your deck is the Ace of Pentacles. So you actually have a lot of ace energy, which is a lot of like creator energy. And then Six of Pentacles is a very balanced energy, but it's an energy about like nostalgia and like sharing, not nostalgia. It's about like sharing and like giving and sharing and finding a balance there. So I think that's very interesting. But we'll get your other cards and see what else they can tell us. So what about Six of Pentacles side?
So the book lies for the pilgrim. It says, even in the stillness of meditation, the pilgrim feels the movement of the heart towards what it loves. Other names for it would be the wanderer, the traveler, the apprentice. We all have a deep longing to answer the call to get unstuck. What are the obstacles between you and the door? When light, it learns, grows, adapts, and studies. When dark, it is aloof, non-committal, and flaky. And to go deeper, you would look at The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost or Mamine by David White, which The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost, I think, is one of my favorite poems. But the pilgrim is one that would like be definitely a traveler for one. They're not going to stay in one place. They need to travel. They need to see the world, and whether that's travel like physically, most likely, but also travel spiritually. Verbs.
That is the cardinal specifically, and then the penguin.
We had a lot of verbs in the channel messages so far, so that's funny. Also, if you hear lots of meowing coming from my end, it's because I had to kick my cat out because she was being a turd and she was scratching me. So now she's meowing outside my door.
You have, if I can get it out, there you go. You have security on this side.
Birdie.
Let's see what they'll give me for the other side. Which right now I feel like it's kind of like the left side is very earthy and the right side is very airy.
Very similar to pile one.
Some ways. And then the other side, you have fulfillment. You have, if I can get it out, you have patience. Hey, cat. I'm sorry if you saw him. He thinks I'm playing, I guess. So if you see cat paws, just know that he's around. Cats on both sides. And then on the sword side, you have a release. And then we you some essential oils. So these will tell you what oils you might use. And then they also have trigger statements that you need to turn into other statements. And then it'll have a phrase for you. So the first one is balance. Like I said, balance, which is no one understands me, is the trigger statement. The true statement is I ask for what I need. And it says, from a place of love, you need to stand up and speak your truth. What you wish for is what the universe wishes for you. And then I'll get you one more. Let's see. Okay. And then the other side, you have connection. The trigger statement is this is too, or it is too much. Your true statement is I am grounded in my body, which is cedarwood. It says use your empathic abilities to connect with others, discern the information you receive, and do not take on what is not your own. And then I will get you 2 crystal cards as well. You have sulfur for this left-hand side, which is volcanic, progress, and inventive. And then it is Leo and then the sun. So you do have some fire on that side too. Okay, and then can I get one for the other side, please? Okay, that one flew out. Okay. And then the other one is this pretty blue one, which is lazulite, which is cosmic serenity and peace, Gemini and Sagittarius, and then Jupiter energy. Okay. So I think I have everything. I do. So basically what I'm getting off of this is she already read the Pilgrim card to you. So you already kind of understand like your overall energy. But basically you have a very like grounded, practical side. And then you have a very like airy, like communicative, knowledgeable side, like wisdom. So with this side, you have like a very like peaceful, calming, it's almost like a watery air. And then this side's like a fiery earth. So it's kind of like you have all of the elements and like it's almost like you have 4 parts, right, to your duality. So you have 2 that work together and then the other 2 work together and then they form a whole as 4. And so for me, this is very much about like the left-hand side is very much about like feeling grounded and sharing and giving, but also receiving. You have a lot of patience on both sides, but it's almost like the left-hand side is the part of you that keeps you safe, right? So it's the side that is very grounded and very practical, very stable, likes to make sure that everything is taken care of, that everybody is taken care of. And I almost say like it's kind of interesting because you have like Libran energy over here with like the like balancing information, but you also have a lot of fire. And then over here is actually where the air comes in. So it's kind of interesting to me because I think both sides mesh really well together. But I would say that, you know, I think there's a struggle between how much to give and how much to take, because I think that this side probably understands like and holds the truth of any situation. And I think like there might be a lot of things that are held in or a lot of things that are held onto. And so it might weigh you down, like it might make you feel kind of weighted. But I think that it's because there's almost an overactivity on this side, like on focusing on stability in the practical sense, when I think that there's a call for your soul to like release a lot of that. because I think that naturally you're very light and like carefree kind of an energy. And I think that sometimes in the earth that we're in here right now, things can get very heavy because people focus so much on like stability and foundation and practicality. And it's like Pile 3 had a lot about believing in the impossible. And I feel like with this group, it's not so much that it's about believing, it's about when you have all that energy that comes at you from outside of you. Like, I think that that weighs this part of you down and can cause you to feel very heavy. And it's almost like when your root chakra is like overactive, like you're almost too grounded. And I think that sometimes, you know, the call is to lean into that spiritual, creative, like, you know, imaginative side. Sorry about my cat. But basically, I think that for you guys, it's about finding that peace and knowing that, you know, it's okay to kind of escape from the practicality of things and to let your mind kind of go into that like more airy, not in the sense of like mental knowledge, but like in that place of where you can shut your brain off for a while, if that makes sense. So I feel like if you're feeling burnt out or you're feeling tired or like you just don't have the energy to give, then I think that it's time to take a step back from brain all the time. And that means like anything with your brain. Like I had this advice a few weeks ago that was like, because I said, oh, well, I'm going to take a rest because it's hard for me to rest. Like it's really hard for me. That's something I struggle with all the time. But I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll just play this like video game or like I'll watch this like documentary or like I'll read this book. And it's like, okay, but is it a fiction book? No, it's nonfiction. Like it's one of those things of those are all great self-care things, except for when you need to shut your brain off. So it's kind of like that need to daydream and to let go of practicality or reality for a while, like pulling away from anything that requires brain power and just kind of like shutting it down, kind of like when you shut off a computer because it's overheating. Like that's kind of the energy that I'm getting. But I think that, you know, doing that periodically will help with feeling a little bit more balanced and with kind of letting go of everyone else's projections. Also, there's a need for this group to clear their energy a lot more. So whether that be through water, air, using incense, sage, using like sound clearing or healing, Reiki, anything that can help you clear your energy, changing your sheets, like doing things that make your energy feel fresh is really good for this group. And like even that might help you so that you don't have to disconnect quite as much because then your energy is getting cleared out. Because I think when you have this card about like use your empathic abilities to connect with others and discern the information you receive and don't take on what is not your own, I feel like this group has a tendency to take on what's not theirs, and they need to release that in order to feel that fulfillment and to feel that balance so that they're not weighed down by everyone else's stuff, if that makes sense.
Yes. That makes a lot of sense. So I have a couple channel messages for you guys. I have Ravens that came through. The song Raincoat by Kelly Sweet. I Do Adore by Mindy Gledhill. Good as Hell by Lizzo. Crazy Love by Mindy Gledhill. And then I heard the quote, Marie the Baguettes from Beauty and the Beast. I don't know why. April Showers Bring May Flowers. Rain on Me by Ashanti. Red Tulips, Hearts, Paper Kites, not the band, the Paper Kites. I mean, they're a great band, but just actually saw Paper Kites. Gummy Bears, Depression, Cigarettes and Chocolate Milk by Rufus Wainwright. Again, that's a song. Blue by Wano, A Canary, The Little Mermaid 2, Champagne Problems by Taylor Swift, and Gold Rush by Taylor Swift. The last two songs are sticking out to me the most, especially with everything that Bekah was talking about for you, because Champagne Problems is about someone who like kind of appears to have it all, and it's about how like she actually kind of feels like a caged bird because she has like this
Yeah, sorry.
she has this like really great life, and I'm, speaking of like, and then this guy, the guy that she's dating, he proposes to her, and this song is about how basically she rejected the proposal and like took off and became free, but though it was like the right call. And she talks about like some of the lyrics that are sticking out is like, one for the money, two for the show, I never was ready, so I watched you go, and sometimes you just don't know the answer until someone's on their knee and asks you. And then it talks about how they say, she would have made such a lovely bride, what a shame she's fucked in the head, they said. And so it's kind of like and then Taylor continues to tell this guy, but you'll find the real thing instead. She'll patch up your tapestry that I shred. And so I kind of feel like what this group, you're very, very, very hard on yourself, which I think is why Spirit wants you to disconnect, because I think when you do disconnect and you can clear your energy, and again, like we had that card about empathy and taking on what is not yours, you're going to be able to sort through emotions that might not even be yours in the first place. And some of them might be, like, some of you might be in situations where you do feel like a caged bird. You have a lot of bird symbolism. You have penguins, which penguins are birds that can't fly, but I'm sure that they want to, when they see all their other little bird friends doing it. So it's like, maybe you've been in a situation your whole life where you haven't been able to travel and be the pilgrim and go and voyage the world. And like, this is making me think of Pocahontas as well. But also very much I see why the Little Mermaid 2 came through for you guys, because Melody, her mom, all in good faith, right, builds a wall so that she can't get out because there's an evil sea witch who's trying to kill her. So there's very good reason for it, but her mom's also keeping the truth from her and like, not telling her about who she is, and all she wants to do is like be in the sea, and she loves the ocean and she wants to be part of it. And so like, that's her whole thing. And I feel like that's very much like, I think you guys want to really be part of the world, which again, another Little Mermaid reference, but like I really feel that from you guys. Like I feel like for a lot of you, maybe you've been stuck in one place for a long time, or maybe you've been in the same town your whole life and you're just dying to like, see the world. And especially right now, that's really hard. And then with Gold Rush by Taylor Swift, again, to me, this relates to all the stuff Bekah was talking about, because this song is about like, she's talking about how she doesn't like uncertainty, which is that other part of you, that overgrounded root chakra. Like she says, like, I don't like a gold rush. I don't like anticipating like my face in a red flush. And I don't, like specifically she's talking about a guy in this, but this could be about anything, right? Like, I don't like that anyone would die to feel your touch. Like, and she's very much, she doesn't want to make the leap. And so I think that's your guys' duality, is that you guys want to make the leap. And then the overgrounded part of you is like, but wait, like, what if this goes wrong? And what if we fall? And what if we scrape our knee? And what if we travel far away and we hate it? And like, what if we cry our eyes out? And like, what if we can't be away from our family? And like, that type of, it's very much like, I think people have chained you down for so long, probably in your life, or maybe you chained yourself down, or maybe mental health has chained you down. And now you're starting to finally get ready to embrace that freedom, but there's a lot of fear. And there's a lot of like, well, we don't know what's going to happen if we buy a plane ticket and just go to Rome one day, because that's what we felt like doing today. Because I very much feel like there's a part of you, like Bekah was talking about, that's very, very grounded, maybe overly grounded and very critical of yourself. And then there's another part of you that's that fire that we talked about, that wants to be free and is like, please let me go, let me see the world, let me do stuff. And then, but that I think that overgrounded part of you tends to really win. So I wouldn't be surprised if in this reading we see a lot of that fire side of you that really wants to come out, because I think it's been repressed for a very long time.
I definitely agree. So we're moving on to the astrology stuff. So we're going to see what other messages we can get from this. to kind of see like what we can expand on and like what other advice or things they might want to tell you. Your guides as far as that goes. Let me see. Oh, that's okay. All right. You have third house messages, which is Gemini. And then you have Jupiter return, which is benefits, which you would have to look and see where Jupiter is at in your chart, because your Jupiter return is when Jupiter returns to the place where it was at your birth. And Jupiter is a slower moving planet. It's not as slow as like the outer planets like Uranus, but it is still pretty slow. So you would look and see where that's at in your own personal chart to see if it's making its way around again to like where that is in your natal chart. But Jupiter also rules over Sagittarius. So that's something to keep in mind, and the ninth house. And then third house is Gemini, which is all about like communication, messages. It can also be about like social media connections, which right now we are currently in a Mercury retrograde, and Mercury rules over Gemini. So if you find yourself having difficulties with communicating your feelings, or with maybe like having conversations with others, or you might be having stuff that's coming up because of Venus retrograde as well right now when we're filming this, which again, this is a timeless reading. I know I keep forgetting to mention that, but it's a timeless reading. So when you find this, it might not be like that. But at the time that we film this, there are a couple of retrogrades going on that are shifting a lot of things, especially in communication, values, and love and relationships. So it may be that you're finding a lot of like things that are no longer working, or you might be being put to the test to use what you know, and to slow down and really like reevaluate how you communicate with others, or your relationships, or the things that you know you care about might be shifting right now. You have Lilith that came out, which is repressed desires. Now, most of the time with Black Moon Lilith, I use it when I look at like synastry between two people. But Lilith can really talk about where you have some wounding that needs to be addressed, but also like it can talk about like your deeper desires, or the things that you wouldn't bring to the surface normally, but that you need to accept about yourself. And so it might be that you have some stuff that you haven't been able to accept for some reason, or you may be accepting new parts of yourself that you never have before. And that can be really, really difficult. Like that can be really hard to do. And so when you're going through that, like that can be exhausting, because you're trying to integrate new parts of yourself and there's a lot of fears around them. Let me get you one more from that deck. Pile 4, please. Okay. That's too many. Just one. Being very picky about this one. Okay, there we go. Okay. Okay, you got solar eclipse, which is embracing change, revelation, courage, determination, and connection, which goes right along with that Lilith. You get you 2 Moonology cards. Oh, okay. You have show the world the real you, which is full moon in Aquarius, which I think the full moon in Aquarius is in like, when is that? Leo season? I can't remember. I'd have to look it up.
We'd be in Cancer season if we had the full moon in Cancer.
And then your other one is it's time to take action, which is new moon in Aries, which that is an Aries season. It's usually in April-ish. Then I'll get you 2 from this deck. So Aries season is March to April. So there may be some things that you're going to be taking action on around that time, but I'll go into that in a second as far as what else that could mean. Ooh. Okay, you have Aquarius energy coming out, which is Cadalithia. I probably butchered that. It's faith and expansion. It says, water your wisdom with integrity so your vision grows and inspires others to mirror you. And then I'll give you one more. Okay. And then your other one is Libra and Scorpio energy, and it's Alakil, which is guardianship and protection. Do not fear to lose what you already have. Your heart is a guardian and your soul the brightest star, which this came out in pile 2. You might have Libra, Scorpio, Aquarius, Aries, Gemini, and Sagittarius that have come out. So just take that as it resonates. But basically what I'm seeing from this is that there's a lot of call for you to actually be who you are and not be afraid to show the real you. Like there's so much here about like having faith that when you put yourself out there, other people will look up to you, will mirror you. And I think there's a lot about like looking in there and seeing what maybe your repressed desires are, or maybe those like those revelations or those things that are inside of you that you have trouble accepting, like going in and looking at them and nurturing yourself instead. So like when you find yourself in a place where you're being really hard on yourself, shifting that narrative and like catching yourself with that and saying, you know what, mean voice, like I'm really awesome and I don't need to be talked to like that. And I'm doing the best that I can and it's enough. Like I'm doing good enough and I'm wonderful as I am. Like, and I think it's about, I feel like this, it's time to take action is more about allowing yourself to reveal the parts of yourself that you might be afraid of or that you might not necessarily fully accept right now, which does take time and it does take a lot of work and it does take courage. It is very hard, but I think Spirit is saying like you're more than ready. Like you're going to be just fine. Like you're safe, you're protected, and like you are going to heal a lot of people with the insights that you gain from going in and doing this. And I don't think it's that you haven't done a lot of work. I think it's that you've done a ton of work and now it's time to accept yourself for who you are because you've done that work. And so I think that, you know, a lot of this is taking action in that sense and saying like, okay, like I'm ready to accept myself and like I'm ready to like shift that and to say like, here I am, this is who I am, and like, you know, forget you if you don't like it because I don't need you here. And I think that there's a lot about communicating that with other people and like sharing that story and sharing like who you are just in whatever way that is, whether that's through art, poetry, writing, creating, you know, I don't know, communicating, speaking. There's a lot of different ways to do it. And like, even if it's in a passive way, like even if it's something that you do just for yourself, right? So like, let's say you disconnect, right? And while you're disconnecting, you're like, you know what would be really fun or like would feel really healing for me right now is if I just took these like finger paints, right? And I just played with them all over this paper, like with no thought process, no, like, I don't need to like make an outcome. I don't care. Like, I'm just going to do what I feel. Like, I'm just going to do that and release all this energy because I feel like for some of you, I feel like part of it is that there might be some feelings that you're scared of in there. Like, it might be that you're afraid that when you dive in there, you'll find that like you're angry or that you're like really like upset about something or sad, or like your feelings are really big. And I think that spirit wants you to know that like your feelings are not too big. You're not too much. Like these feelings are feelings and they're worthy of being felt and acknowledged by yourself and by other people. And I think like once you start allowing those to come up, yeah, it might be kind of hard and scary at first because you're like, oh, I didn't even know that was in there. And like, I don't know what to what extent this goes, but I think you'll find that the more you nurture that, the easier it gets and the less scary it is. But I think that if you find an outlet where you can share those feelings in a healthy way, whether that be through putting it down on paper, putting it, you know, in writing, whatever it may be, like, I think that that's something that is really helpful because there's this focus on you, because Aries is all about you. Like the first house is Aries, and it's very much about the self, very much about like your persona, which is funny because pile one had a lot about like persona by Namjoon, but it's very much about basically putting your needs out there and saying like, what is it that I need? What is it that I care about? What is it that I'm feeling? What is it that I'm passionate about? Like it's about being, and I actually watched a Chloe Taylor reading about this the other day, and she talked about selfishness, and she said that she hates it because people hear selfish and they think like it's a bad thing, but it's not, because sometimes in life you have to be selfish. And so I think you're learning how to put yourself first and be a little more selfish, because that's kind of where that imbalance was. There's a lot of give and not as much take. And I think need is to give yourself more. And it doesn't mean you have to take away from anybody else. It just means that you have to feed your own and listen to your own soul before you can give everything to everyone else.
Yes, I definitely agree with that wholeheartedly. Yeah, I think that kind of like I had already went on a big tangent about with this group is that I think, like I said, there's a lot of, I didn't get any more channel messages for you guys, but there's a lot of stuff that it's kind of similar to, I think it was group 2 or maybe it was group 1, probably group 1, which I said there's been some similarities between this group and group 1, so if you felt drawn to one, maybe you should watch the other one. But it's very much, it's not in the sense of like, oh, you have a lot of work to do, like you're, you know, like you're broken, you're this, it's no, you know, first of all, we always are becoming the better version of ourselves, right? We're always doing things to like work and feel better and do better and like be better as humans. We're never going to stop with that. But what I think for you guys is that it's finally time to 100% be your authentic self. Because I feel like it's not that there's a severe lack in your duality or in your not lack, I mean imbalance in your duality. It's that like one half of your duality is like masked or like halfly, like very closely guarded. And it's because there's, you know, we talked about that, like that fear that like, and this is why it's very similar to group 1, because I think inside you have a really good balance and understanding of who you are, but outside people around you don't necessarily know 100% who you are. They might think that you like, you know, your whole life you might have said, I love the color blue or I love the color green, but like deep inside you really love yellow and pink and orange and red, because those are really bold and vivacious colors. But people know you as this like calming, sweet, soft energy, but you have a more bold side about you too, like that fiery side. And but you're afraid to say it, like you're afraid to be like, no, I actually have thoughts and opinions and ideas and stuff that I want to share, like, and places I want to go and people I want to meet and things I want to, you know. And it's very much about like bringing that which you already know of yourself inside and being bold enough to be vulnerable and saying like, yeah, this is who I am 100% unapologetically. And if you don't like me, that's too damn bad. Because the people that are meant to be in your life are going to love you no matter what. And the ones who aren't, who don't accept you, they don't deserve to be there.
I definitely agree. Now, your tarot that came out, you have the Three of Swords, which is Saturn and Libra. You have the Nine of Pentacles, which is Venus and Virgo. You have the Prince of Pentacles, Prince of Talismans, which is Earth energy. And you have the Two of Cups, which is Cancer and Venus. And then at the bottom of the deck, you have the Ten of Cups, which is Mars and Pisces energy. So I find it very fascinating because it's almost like this is where you are right now, but here's all of the stuff that's coming. And I think that in order for these things, I mean, they're going to come regardless, right? So like when things are destined in your life, they're going to come regardless of what you're doing, because spirit's always going to be guiding you. So if you're doing things like to stay on path, like first of all, if you're even worrying that you're on path, then you're probably on path. Like that's something that I've learned really early on with spirituality. Like if you're putting in the effort and you're worrying about if you're on path, then you're probably on the path that you're supposed to be on, because everyone's where they're supposed to be at that moment in time, but especially if you're putting in the work. And so I feel like, you know, right now it might be really heavy, it might be really hard, but it's not going to be that way forever. Like it's not going to be this Three of Swords energy forever. The Three of Swords is the heartbreak card in tarot. So if you're going through a hard time, if you just went through a heartbreak, or if you're still healing from heartbreak, regardless of how long ago it happened, like that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Like be nurturing, take that time. They often say that things like a breakup is actually just as impairing as being sick, like being physically ill. Like it can incapacitate you. So it's one of those things of being gentle with yourself and knowing that sometimes it's going to be hard. And like you might have days where you're not able to do a lot, where you have to do like, you know, the bare minimum that you can. And like the rest of the day you need to spend taking care of yourself. And that's really hard because it's like some people, you know, don't have the time to do a bunch of stuff for themselves every day. But it's about taking those moments when you do have the time and saying like, okay, right now I have the time where I could disconnect and I can sit with my feelings. I can write in my journal. I can listen to music. I can, you know, take a nap. I can watch a show that I really want to watch that doesn't require my brain to be involved. Like, and just disconnect and allow things to come up. Meditation would be really great for this group. Like, however that may be, that doesn't necessarily mean like sitting down and just being like, okay, I'm going to close my eyes and breathe. But for a lot of you, yeah, that would be helpful. Like taking those breaths, taking that time to yourself to just sit in silence, like, and allow for things to come up. Now, obviously for others of you, you're going to want to try different things, because for some people, like it's really hard to sit there, right? And you don't want to put more stress on yourself. So, you know, if your meditation is going for a walk around the neighborhood, then do that. If your meditation is, you know, dancing around your room to some songs to get your, you know, energy out, then do that. If it's painting or drawing or writing artistically, do that. Like if it's gardening, you know, tend to your plant babies. If it's cooking, then cook some food. Like it just, whatever helps you get out of your head and into your body is really important. And like I said earlier, so is clearing your energy. Because when you're allowing all this stuff to come up and out, you need to clear your energy and your space's energy a lot. Not just in the sense, like you don't need to go around like waving sage like 24/7. That's really not sustainable. But like, you know, just taking those deep breaths and pushing that energy out, and like making sure that you're letting plenty of light in, getting fresh air, you know, every once in a while burning some incense or a candle or something, like doing something to kind of freshen it up. Like I said earlier, like it's one of those things of you have to allow that stale energy, that old energy, that like heavier stuff to go somewhere, because otherwise it'll stick around and that can make you feel really kind of icky and like muddy. So for this group, I think it's just about allowing yourself to really let all that stuff come up and, you know, be unapologetic about it, and know that that stuff coming up is just signifying that, one, you're on the right path, and two, that all of this beautiful stuff is right here. Like, and the thing is some of this stuff might already be in your life. Like, you might be in a new opportunity right now where you're learning how to move forward. And like, it might, now Prince of Talismans, of course, is Knight of Pentacles, which is like a slow moving card. But for me, this is very much like, you know, this is all about stability. This is the most stable knight, the one that always gets to his destination. And you have the Nine of Pentacles before. So it's almost like a know that like you are already taken care of. And even though it's going really slow, like it may seem slow, like it's not, because all of these things that are happening right now are all a huge part of what's going to bring you to these things, to the Two of Cups, to the Ten of Cups, which is like, you know, ultimate emotional fulfillment, maybe a family, maybe your person, like significant other. But Two of Cups can, I mean, it's the soulmate card traditionally. Like, that's the card where basically it tells you like you have that soulmate, that divine counterpart, that other person. But it can also be about balance within emotionally, like between balancing that duality. And I think that you're already working on that right now. And I think that you're already going through like a new beginning. This really reminds me of the Ace of Pentacles. But I feel like, you know, all of this stuff is happening at the same time. But I think before you can really like revel in that and actually feel good about it, you have to let all that old energy go. But in the end, it'll end up with you being happier than you've ever experienced before in your life.
Yes, I 100% agree with that wholeheartedly. While Bekah was talking, I got a couple more channel messages for you guys. So we have the If You're Going Through Hell, Keep Going. We also had My Time by Jungkook come through. Inhale Peace and Exhale Bullshit. And then breath work, EFT tapping were things that Spirit mentioned that could be helpful for you, like aside from meditation. These are also forms of meditation. So again, like Bekah said, if you're someone who really can't sit in the silence or you need to work up to that, breath work and EFT tapping are great, and you can definitely look them up on how to do them. And then we have Beautiful Letdown by Switchfoot, which I haven't heard that song in forever, but it's a good song.
I play Switchfoot all the time because they're super, I know they're a Christian band, but they're super spiritual. Like, if you ever listen to their music, there's a lot about like death and rebirth, and like there's a lot of like spiritual references. So it's a great band to listen to. Okay, so move on to your stickers.
Stickers.
Okay. All right. No two groups get the same stickers because I pull them out after I take them. So my box is getting very full though. And like I said, in one of the other groups, I need to go through these. Okay. All right. Let's pull them out. Okay. You have, oh, okay. So you might be going through some of that residual energy from retrogrades right now, or I guess technically we're still in them till the end of the month / beginning of the next month if you're watching this in real time. But I feel like for some of you, if you've gone through like a breakup, or if you've gotten like some sort of rejection or something like that, like, you know, you might be feeling like, why did that happen? And I don't understand. And it's like their opinion of you doesn't. And like, it is really hard, and it's okay to be sad, and it's okay to be hurt, and it's okay to be upset, like, and to not understand, and like to feel that. It's okay to go through that, like no questions asked. You don't have to fix it. But it's also about knowing that you don't need their approval. You don't need them to, you know, tell you why, because you deserve better than that. If they're going to reject you, then you deserve better than that. And I know that's really hard, obviously, like when you're going through something, but I think that there's double message there, where you should feel your feelings and allow yourself to feel them, but to know that like you deserve more. You have the sun with the waves in the middle of it. So maybe going to like a beach. But this also reminds me of like happiness. Like I said, like you're going to feel happier than you ever have before. And I think if you ride the waves of your emotions, that's what's going to help you feel that way. That's what's going to get you there. Because actually, Chin Kyun has a quote about how you're going to be sad sometimes, but the sadness doesn't last forever. And sometimes you'll be happy and happiness doesn't last forever. But like life is like a roller coaster, and that's just kind of how it is. And it's like you have to learn that going through bad times doesn't mean the bad times are always going to be there. And like you have to take the highs and the lows, because it's like that's life. That's how life works. Like sometimes you're going to be up, sometimes you're going to be down, and it's okay regardless of where you're at. Like it's okay to feel that way. You don't have to try to pretend like you're not happy or you're not sad, or you know, like you don't have to pretend that your emotions are something they're not. You have love, a bunch of flowers. So this makes me think of like love grows here, like an abundance of love. You have thank you with the sandwich. So maybe someone's going to be buying you a meal for a thank you. You have explore. So Laina kind of touched on travel is important for this group. So getting out there and exploring, but of course be safe about it if you do that. You have the cute little like mini cactus that's like smiling. And so I think this is about like you're very resilient and you're very good at, you know, keeping yourself, you know, watered. But I think that with cacti, they can tend to be kind of prickly, but this one doesn't even seem to have prickles at all. And so I think, you know, that might be a little bit more about boundaries and about like knowing that like you are that sweet person, but make sure that you keep those boundaries up with other people. You have okay on an omelet.
Oh,
some food
good right now.
I know this. You have supporting someone else's success will never lessen your own.
Valid.
Yeah. So if you have some, now here's another thing. Now, I don't know how many of you, this might just be for someone specific, and please don't come at me in the comments, but basically like with supporting someone else's success will never lessen your own. You may be afraid of a feeling of like envy, or afraid of jealousy, or afraid of like comparison or competition, or like it's almost like at times when you get jealous, you might shame yourself for that. Like I'm kind of getting that message. And so if that's the case, just know that everybody gets jealous sometimes. I don't know one person in this world that has not been jealous at some point in their life, because it's like the society that we're raised in is very much about like, well, mine is better than yours, or like, when can I get the next best thing, or like, oh, that person has something that I want. And it's like, okay, there's nothing wrong with wanting something that someone else has, as long as you're not like, you know, becoming them or trying to change who you are to get it, or doing something wrong in order to achieve that. If you want something, like it's okay to want it. It's okay to go after it and to say like, my goal is to get that, you know, car because I really want it. Like, I just think it would be cool to have one of those, and like they're really pretty and I want one. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But like also there's nothing wrong with every once in a while if you get a ping of jealousy where you're like, well, I can't afford that right now, but they can. And like, I kind of wish that I could. And like, that makes me feel kind of jealous a little bit. Like, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that you should know that, like, you know, on the other side of that is you can still support someone and also want what they have. So it's kind of like a double lesson there, because it's like it doesn't lessen your success if you support someone else, but like also allow yourself every once in a while some grace if you feel some negative emotion. Because remember, I said there was something about like there's a fear of what's hidden in there. And so, like, for some of you, that might be part of the fear, which you're a very soft soul if that's a fear of yours, that you're jealous deep down and you're scared to feel that. Like, I don't think you really need to worry too much about it if that's a fear. Not to laugh at you, I'm not, but it's like one of those things of, I think that it's okay to feel that way sometimes and to accept that and to be like, yeah, I never got that. And like, I don't have that. Or like, you know, like I'm struggling with this, like that's okay.
Mhm.
You have wonder, wander, and repeat.
A little jealousy, maybe I need.
Yes, there's a song called Jealousy by Monsta X, which is I.M's group. Check it out. You have the man and woman. She has flowers and he has a cake, and it's almost like you exchange like gifts on like a date or something.
Oh, cute.
You have a rainbow heart. So for those of you that are from the LGBTQ community, this may be saying like it's okay to accept yourself as you are, and that you have people around you that will support you with that.
Mm-hmm. And
You
also,
have on to the next adventure. You have a guy reading a book. So maybe, you know, reading like a fantasy novel or a novel where you can kind of escape from reality for a little bit would be helpful for you. Again, not like a nonfiction book. You don't go to learn if you're going to try to shut your brain off. Make time for yourself. And then the last one you have is be a dreamer and follow rainbows.
cute.
He is very soft. Do you have any other messages before I move on to the homemade ones?
Yeah, I have two. So I don't know why, but I have Honey from Monsta X, like his smile in my head. And but he always says stay happy, be happy. So maybe that's why. And then I have the song Love by Keisha Cole that came through. That's it.
Okay. So we'll move on to the homemade oracle cards. So these ones are all lyrics from I.M solo songs. And then these ones are quotes from him. So these are cunisms, which is chain cunisms. So these are going to be these are going to be quotes that he said in like interviews or in different like programs or at like fan signs, things like that. That kind of go along with everything. Now, there's one extra quote, so I'm going to shuffle these out for you guys to see. Now, obviously, if they drop all four, then I'll take them, but, oh, okay. See if they want to choose one of these. If they don't, then I'll know that they want them both. Tried to be fair for every group, but yep, okay, I ended up with one extra. Okay. So, these ones, your lyric decks, your lyric cards, I should say. So for the first one, you have, I look at myself in the mirror. I'm anxious about temporary happiness. I hope that the continuous pain will become dull. Shut up. Just give me a lot of shot. I'm not sure what I'm doing. Give me some direction. I miss you. I think I'm drunk. Pour it more. That's from Goddamn.
For this song, for this group, that song.
Mm-hmm. Goddamn is such a good song. Okay, you have the hand that held me, the eyes that captured me are all blind. The scattered hands, the shining eyes are gone. When you step on me like it's nothing, I desperately want you to come back and hug me. I deeply remember your smile that laughed at me while I was being illuminated by you. And that's from Flowered, which this song he actually wrote about dead flowers in his studio and about how like a flower is still a flower regardless of if it's alive or dead, which is very philosophical. Okay. And then this is don't call me, I'm driving. I just want to keep on balling. Even though when you're hating, grab me when I'm falling. Cause I make myself so lonely, you know that I'm howling. Now, when I wrote this, I noticed something because it ends with driving, ballin', hating, falling, lonely, howling, like for each sentence. And I was like, well, that's very prophetic. But basically, I think with this song, an important message is that it's hard because you might be going and like you know that things are good or like they're getting better or whatever, but you still feel lonely or you might feel like you're still falling and like you need help. And like howling is one of those things where it's like you feel lonely, so you're howling, which he actually is known as. Like he used to be just the wolf emoji, now he's also the black cat emoji, but basically like wolves are really important to him. And so when this song, like when you listen to it, it's very much about like being alone and like feeling alone and like needing someone to come help him. And I think that's a key for you, is to ask for help when you need it, but also being alone when you need it as well. And then the last one you have is, you look happy, only smoke remains in my room. I have a headache that I need to undo. Should I just say everything's fine? I'm tired of pretending I'm not exhausted. My mind is spinning. Oh, my half closed eyes are my daily life. I think I've gotten used to it all, which is also from Goddamn. Yeah, I think you guys need some me time and some rest. Okay, now as for the quotes, you got, in the end, I think that care of yourself is loving yourself. Every single person needs to learn how to love themselves. I'll read that again for you because I feel like that's very important. In the end, I think that care of yourself is loving yourself. Every single person needs to learn how to love themselves. This group needs to hear that. Okay, and then you got, questions move people. That is why they're always trying to discover something new. Which I feel like that's more about like asking yourself questions and like kind of digging in there and allowing things to come up. And then the reason why there are good people around you is because you are a good person too. Which I also think this group really needs to hear. Because I think that there's some fear of what's inside of you, but I think that you should know that you're a good person regardless of what's in there, because you wouldn't be worried about it if you weren't.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think you guys have a lot of, it's funny because I was doodling on your page because I was done with channel messages, and I actually wrote love yourself on it, and I was just like la la la. So it was funny that came out. I mean, not funny as in laughing at you guys, but ironic, because like I was still channeling even though I didn't mean to. But I think that you guys have, like Bekah said, need to rest and take care of yourselves and know that everything is going to be okay.
Yes, I definitely agree. And hopefully those messages were helpful, and hopefully they gave you some insight. Let us know what you thought. Leave a like, a comment, hit subscribe. Let us know if you want to see any other artists for us to do a themed reading off of. Yeah, but hopefully that gave you a lot of information. And if you want to watch one of the other piles, feel free to do so. Check out Monsta X, check out I.M, especially his solo stuff. It's really good. He's a pretty deep writer. So, well, most of the time, some of his stuff, maybe not so much, but most of it. But yeah, hopefully we will see you guys in our next reading.
Bye bye, guys.